Morning.
Morning.
Got a pretty red sky this morning.
Yeah, it was nice.
It's gonna be windy today.
I actually felt pretty comfortable temp wise too.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing? Oh. Too bad.
Did you guys all see the email from Tammy about not doing Snyder's item?
There's no use in doing Snyder's item if you don't approve, if you don't change the proposed ordinance that we have.
No, that
As
has
an
nothing to do with the
inspector.
ordinance.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're required to have an inspector, but the they had asked to reschedule it.
Oh,
Tammy sent it
yeah, I seen that email. That's for
yesterday
the
at
roof?
11.
Yeah,
No, that's
Oh,
for the
Oh,
pipeline, the inspection services.
yeah,
postponed to March 14th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see that. There's no use in hiring anybody to inspect the pipeline, cause they're not gonna go across the county if you don't change the ordinance. Makes it illegal to go underneath transmission lines.
what do you mean by that?
They can't go underneath the transmission lines going south unless you change the ordinance.
Well, that's not passed yet. No.
No.
If it does get passed, they'll challenge it, so that's a separate issue, but
Well,
we have to have the inspector. Well, we have to have an inspector,
An inspector.
that's a requirement, not saying we have to have them, but that's what we decided.
Good morning.
Morning.
Derek. Snyder. Yeah, the pre-construction on, or post-construction on the roof.
No, that's a different firm. For the courthouse roof,
Yeah,
yeah, no, that's, architect out of Mason. Can't think of their name now.
For
The courthouse roof.
Oh, I don't.
Someone says it, I'll recognize it, but I can't spit it out right now.
In our board packet last week.
Yeah, it was.
Willie's on vacation yet, so I don't think we're gonna do anything with that right away either.
Yeah, that's not on the agenda.
Must be the time of year to go on vacation. Well.
Are you gonna find it?
Yep, I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah,
I recognize it, but it was just, yeah, names.
It was on Monday. We postponed the contract review. Is that what you're talking about?
AIA.
yeah, Monday at like 11 something when Tammy sent the email.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
AIA, that's,
scroll up. Berglund and Cram Architects. That's it. That's for the courthouse roof. It's right there.
yeah, I see that.
Yeah, Northern Cedar was the contractor. Berglund and Cram was the architect I was trying to think of the name for.
did you go to the meeting last night?
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, Which one?
Greening. Or not, our
The pipeline?
pipeline.
Yeah.
Planning zoning.
Yep.
It was full house.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, the entire boardroom was packed.
They had people standing
They
outside.
had
too.
every chair filled.
They had a
Probably-
screen out there playing the
Okay.
recording for people out there.
Yeah, cause, Doug had it live, electronically. So it was,
That was a lot of
they
people.
used the break room as overflow.
Wow.
But
yeah.
Brian Toole did a very good job around the meeting, I will say.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
There was one or two situations where people started talking in the background a little bit and
right away.
he got their attention. He gave them a little wiggle room,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was kept well in control.
Yeah.
And
No, it was
it,
very,
it
very
needed-
orderly. People came up to the podium, spoke for a minute and sat back down, so.
Good.
yeah,
I did income tax. I had an appointment.
And Mr. Whipple was here.
mhm,
Yeah, I heard him on the radio this morning.
Yep, so he talked quite a bit, went through the whole ordinance, it was
Yeah.
a brief overview for people, and I think people appreciated him being there, and, yeah, that was good.
And everybody was respectful. That was,
Yep,
it did not get
No.
super heated. It was, there was some emotional, but
yeah,
for the most part, it was,
but that's,
yeah.
yeah,
it was
nothing,
good.
nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
at least, but yeah, the comments were respectful. I was surprised there wasn't really much for questions towards the pipeline representatives.
yeah, there really wasn't any.
No, it was questions toward the,
Ordinance, well,
towards the board or towards the commission a little bit, but mostly towards, our attorney, Whipple.
Whipple, which is what people wanted, and they've been wanting that for a while, so. I think they get a chance to ask the pipeline plenty of questions when they give their update.
Yeah,
I wish the state would make up their mind what they're gonna pass for.
Sounds like it'll be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause that'll tell us what. to
Yeah.
do, Really.
well, I mean, in some regard, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, whether we like it or not, so,
Well, yeah, but if they pass it, then we at least know what's going on.
right?
Drainage plan. That's there.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of figuring. I'm gonna go grab some water.
hey, you wanna get me some too?
Hitting my legs.
I would have, I'm going with cycle.
That was for the windmill, I'm assuming. That's what I thought. It was past due?
It had to be done in February, so
Okay. The insurance up and out ended up being a hand.
we didn't get it till whatever day it was that he got it, it was already late. Yeah. So he brought it into us, it called down there and told him we had just gotten it. That, just, so we did it first. And went for that, so, yeah. So I don't know what the delay was. I'm getting it to him, but
Thank you.
yes, hasn't been fully last lately.
Nice.
Thank you.
I'm
Got
gonna,
everything organized, and I can't figure out how I organize it. I'll spend it. I'll look.
It's almost spring. Oh, that means
What's that?
it's almost spring. You know, that
What's that?
Spring clean.
Spring cleaning. I look forward to every year when we've got the dumpster uptown.
Oh, yeah.
Bunch of stuff.
Full chunks of pianos and.
No, not so
That
much
was
that, just after we cleaned out that other house in town, we got a bunch of stuff still.
Oh.
To throw in there.
Looking for 8 o'clock.
My watch says 5 seconds.
Pretty close.
It'll be there in a second.
Well, we don't know if my watch is right or if the computer is. Stand and do the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Looks like we have a robust public discussion today.
I'll give him a minute to get his recording going.
Morning.
Full house today.
Yeah.
Just said that, yes.
Everybody's probably here listening.
Yeah, for sure.
Do I have a motion to minutes dated February 21st?
I'll move to approve, but I'd like, with the, discussion decision to complete the pre-application for rural EMS pilot program removed from the agenda, because that was already voted on, and we don't need to rehash that again.
Does everybody understand the motion? I'll second his motion. Discussion.
For discussion, I guess there's more information available now than what was presented last time, so I think it's well worth the discussion.
I'm not opposed to discussing it.
We have to, I mean, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take our entire agenda and flip it over to next week, and then next week take the whole agenda. I mean, we have protocol and stuff that we follow. And
Yeah, but as more information comes available, you can revisit things.
we've already discussed, there can't be, we already been to the governor's meeting and got all the information that's been presented. We know the program, we know the cost. There's no, it's already been, talked about, voted on, and I don't see any reason to keep bringing stuff. I mean, what are we gonna do? We're gonna go back? Okay, I didn't agree.
I would
I
call the
didn't
question.
agree, I didn't agree with the November election. We're gonna go back and redo the November election then? I mean, how many votes are we gonna
Well,
redo?
I think it's a little different than an election.
Yeah, I called the question, so procedure requires a vote.
He was talking while you did it. All right, do a roll call vote.
Plath,
No, or yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Nath,
No,
Wactor,
No.
Stecker,
No,
Jerks.
Oh, yes. Now I'll ask for another motion to approve the agenda and minutes dated for February 21st.
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda and minutes.
No, you got it.
all right, I'll
You got it.
Carter?
Yep.
Do a roll call vote.
Plath,
No,
Nath,
yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes,
Jerks.
Yes. Motion carried. We are up to monthly update for general assistance. Donna?
That's good timing.
Yep.
Good morning.
perfect.
Morning.
Morning.
I think I gave you an update when I presented my budget, but I don't know. Or did we miss? Feel like we're off. I didn't want to repeat a lot of information, so I just went from the first of the year. I think last claims time you would have seen, we processed the Christmas utilities. We have a group that gives us money, and I call around to the city clerks and still waiting to hear back from some of those. There is a new Latino, English as a second language group getting together. I see people, I guess, more for directions, or they're just looking for general information and are willing to communicating. Google Translate is awkward at best. I think we're gonna talk at the department head meeting about time kettle, which is like an earbud, which does a quicker translation versus trying to go back and forth. Not finding agencies that will assist individuals just in navigating. There is a Latino hotline, but then they just refer you back to here. The 3 funeral homes, Henry Wilson, Lens, and Oakcrest, had communication with them in updating our funeral assistance to cremation due to rising costs. Emmett County, I think, does that, and they indicated Palo Alto also does that. Again, that's always kind of a unknown, how frequent, what's gonna happen, but I think that they're seeing that, yeah, we haven't updated that ordinance since 2008. Our amount that we give is comparable or even higher than some counties, but it's still running into a hardship for those entities.
Is that an ordinance we need to change and make a decision on, or is that something?
We can do, we have an ordinance on burial, I'll have to look at it, and then we have a general operating manual,
Okay,
just because. But I wanted you to be aware,
okay, yeah, I didn't know if there was something we need to act on in
if
that regard.
if we do the whole. That would probably be the only thing that truly needs to be updated. I think we're competitive, I don't know if competitive is the right word. We're in line with what the state or individuals are doing. General assistance is supposed to be when you're waiting to apply for federal funding. Or looking for things that you can do yourself. It's not short term, it's not supposed to be the answer all. So most of those things that we can help with are pretty limited and pretty, but they're more for information and referral. I am always asking, have you applied for heating assistance? Have you applied for food stamps? Have you applied for housing? Do you need help with those? Those are things that can help sustain this program. It's not meant to do that. Rent reimbursement, I think I mentioned, the Department of Human Services or Health and Human Services, now they're called. We took it over from the Internal Revenue Service, but it's all online. You have to upload quite a few documents, and most of our individuals struggle with that, so seeing individuals in for that. The moratorium on the heat assistance or funding ends April 1st, but I'm already starting to get calls. The last couple of years, there was additional funding in COVID, and I think we'll kind of got used to that. So it might be a struggle because I'm seeing really high bills already. And again, back to what we do, we cannot dig them out from that big a hole. So again, it's just the communication. The general assistance side, there's an employment conference that I went to April 5th and 6th this year that's was very beneficial. IMWCA has a safety one-day training April 11th. The handbook is in process. We've met, we've gone through, I think, 3 sections. I'm still working on that. Open enrollment has been set. Secondary Roads has their safety meeting the 21st of April. We'll do May 3rd for the rest of the employees. The Medicare meeting for the employee group Medicare is going to be April 25th. I think at 5 at the election center. Way to go. The dates will be March 29th and April 3rd. The non-discrimination testing was done for WageWorks and we passed. Since January 1st, we've had 6 new employees and then 2 employees ending their coverage. I will be gone next week, Tuesday through next Monday. That's all I have. Questions?
Do you see a high volume of the Latino community and who
I don't know if it's a
in this
high-
area? Or-
It's not, I don't know if it's a high volume, but it's much more than what we historically have seen.
Sure.
And it's just more them not knowing where to access things, how to access things.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a transition waiting for them to start employment or they've lost employment.
Right.
But, frequently it's even just where do I go get my driver's license?
Yeah.
Back and forth.
Yeah, the treasurer's office gets quite a few
Right,
sure.
non-English speaking customers and a lot, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Enough where our interagency groups mentioned it, and then quite honestly, there's been a group from, I don't want to leave it to schools, why, church affiliations. I think who else is represented there. They're trying to get law enforcement, just seeing some changes, and I guess some of it's just to be welcoming. I mean,
Right.
that they're like, you know, I mean, even me coming across the street, back and forth the street, you know, directions are,
Mhm.
I'm seeing more definitely than increasing.
I know, I think the library's got a program that's been trying to help.
They
that.
can do it, yeah, a couple of times and she sends out, and I've not been able to make those, they're like 10:30 in the morning, or maybe. But she sends out weekly little conversation
Mhm.
tidbits,
Yeah, well, that's good.
so it's happening in a lot of different places. You know, when we talk about our employment, I mean, we struggle with employment, but we also need to be able to communicate, but that's something to find people even working.
Lots of jobs require you to speak English, so.
Well, that's what I said, we have to communicate. I mean, that's, our job's mostly, that's a struggle, but that's a workforce too in some areas that maybe we can demonstrate some communication, then we can also encourage communication back the other way.
Right.
This be something where we could potentially have like a volunteer time program that kind of teaches a little basic Spanish to some of our employees. That way they can kind of help with that.
Go to those meetings, but they're the times, probably the
Yeah.
awkwardness. I know Iowa Lakes has, they're in the process of hiring again, someone that teaches English as a second language, and the previous instructor, I know went both ways, but.
Maybe we could do something like what Derek does with like the tech stuff. Maybe we could do something like,
Technology Thursdays.
yeah, we could do something
Stuff.
similar like that with the English, Spanish, you know.
Yeah, that's hard, yeah.
I mean, just as a way to
Right.
kind
Yeah.
of bridge
Well,
that gap a little bit.
Right, right.
You have, bilingual handouts and stuff for information,
I
right?
do have
For-
doubts for that. Again,
It's still, I
you
mean,
still question if the translator from Word is translating. And I think that's
Mhm.
happened here.
Sure.
I think there was kind of a mess up maybe with the name. It's how it's worded and then how different.
yeah,
I think they're still working with that, public health department to try to get that straightened out.
yeah,
So yes, efforts have been made, but to say, I think on Thursday, Art Cullen from Storm Lake is going to speak to the group via Zoom, just because Storm Lake has experienced this. I guess we're gonna hopefully get some tips from them. If I can make that. We're scheduled for a handful of that. Anything else on that?
Good.
it's good.
I've got wellness, I don't know if you.
We read the wellness
Yeah,
minutes. Anybody have any questions?
You got anything to highlight?
Carter?
Now I'm not gonna have anything for board discussion.
I was gonna say, highlight, I think it's just a continual work in progress.
Okay.
Don't know that our end recorder weigh-in, I think it's probably the highlight, that is, people interested in that,
How many people we got in that?
40.
40?
39 to 40 that are participating, which is, you know, at times you think, oh, that is a lot, but in comparison to a lot of companies, you know, 5 to 10% participate, so,
I think you're doing pretty good with 40.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
Really
mean,
good.
I think so too, but I think, you know, it just seems like it's something we've done ongoing, then we try and throw in things, but yeah, 40 is significant in comparison to a lot of
Is
companies.
there any like milestone goals with that, or is it just kind of a?
Well, the milestone is either lose weight or maintain weight, and there's also the awarded prizes for highest weight loss, highest percentage of weight loss for people that have maintained, and then we had an individual, that machine, I think they lost 10 or 11 years of their metabolic age. And again, it's all interpreted, but to move that metabolic age is pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And the prices come from the employee funds,
Yep.
from the,
So,
Yeah, it's all-
it's not tax dollars.
It's all employee generated, so. So yeah, when you look at what our budget is and what our. We're meetings. Needs. And then ultimately, we hope that that reflects on our biometrics. We do that in August. And that there's better results or continuing results with that.
Got two skinny people that made 4%. Two skinny people made 4.
We were higher than that, for like 8 or 9%, but we just put the 4%, that they had to have at least 4%. But I think they were in the 20 some pounds.
Wow. Wow.
Impressive. Way to go.
Way to go. Yeah.
I need to
But yeah.
get on that.
There you go.
You
You
can
can,
maintain too, or
you can be
if,
the next new addition.
or if you talk, there are some that work on muscle mass, so that they research muscle mass.
Yeah.
It's something that's acceptable too.
You know,
It's probably
There's-
what you can do.
there's a problem. Can't go upstairs if you work on muscle mass. There's no weapons allowed.
That's right, this morning.
Yeah.
That was just bad.
Gotta have fun once in a while.
Do the KKK bad dad joke.
That was a bad joke.
Well,
Nothing done. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We have a handwritten claim for Bolton and Mink, and that's.
Do we need
Would that be
to-
the end?
Hey,
we acknowledge the
Do we need to acknowledge the wellness?
Oh, yeah, we acknowledge the wellness committee minutes. And then we'll go to the handwritten claim for Bolton and Mink. It's the last of the windmills.
I'll move to approve the one for Bolton Bank and disallow the one for Kyle Stecker's trip to Washington DC.
We'll do that on a
That's a
separate
separate-
motion.
Separate motion.
Yeah, they're separate here. Do I have a second for Bolton and Mink?
I'll second.
We have a second by Wachter.
What exactly is the claim for?
They,
it's a pass through.
it's
It's,
a pass through where they looked at the
it's in regards to the
drainage.
wind turbine projects that have happened and the administration behind verifying the location of tile and things of that nature. So all of
Okay.
that is paid for by those companies respectively, but it comes through our books, and Bolton and Mink only gets paid after we have received the money.
Correct.
So
Okay.
we've already gotten the money for it. Now we're completing the transaction.
The reason is that we don't want money going directly from the windmill people to Bolton and Mink, because we really hired Bolton and Mink to look after it.
Sure.
So there's separation there.
Yep.
It's a layer of accountability.
Okay. Makes sense.
Any questions on the claim other than that? All those in favor of paying the handwritten claim to Bolton and Mink, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous.
The handwritten claim for Kyle, was supposed to be last week, but it got paper clipped to another claim that he turned in. So we missed it, and, at last week's meeting, I asked Roger if it would be okay to do a handwritten claim, because it was our fault, and he said to submit it. So just to explain why
Yeah,
that's
no,
on.
I know what it's.
Okay.
Disallow it.
A motion by Plath to disallow the claim for Kyle Stecker for $520 for NATO conference, and that would have been for hotel rooms.
No, that's for conference registration.
Okay, that's for conference registration.
Yep.
That was NACO, not NATO.
NACO, yeah. Do you want discussion now, or do you want
We gotta have a second first.
to? Okay, that's what I was thinking.
I'll second it so you can have discussion. All right, discussion on the motion.
What's your question or concern about it?
Just that there's people who don't see the value in sending somebody across the country that there's, doesn't bring that much value back to the county in a time when we're in budget constraints the way we are, and we need to find ways to spend less money, not more money, and so I just don't see the value in this at this time.
So you're voting on opinion based on fact or law?
But there's no fact that we're in budget constraints. I think there's a big concern
That's-
about the budget.
That's not what I said. You said you were making a motion based on people's concern.
Right.
So that's an
And
opinion.
I gave you the name, and I understand you called him and.
Yeah, I did.
talked to him, so, yeah.
No, I didn't talk to him. I called him. He did not answer and said he would come in during public discussion, which that's fine, but if someone's not willing to have a one-on-one conversation, that says something as well. So, but I'm more than willing to have those conversations, but a lack of understanding of what happens out there does not mean it's not an eligible business expense. I didn't get invited as a farmer. It came to my county email. We have been a member of NACO for 20+ years, so you guys have paid dues for all these years and never been a part of the organization, never done anything to get involved. So I have a lot I could say on that.
Well, you said that you had your opinion, I had my opinion. I made the motion, it's been seconded, so.
Okay, I would call for the question.
Any other discussion before we vote?
I mean, even Donna just went to a conference, or will be going to a conference. I mean, all businesses, all departments have conferences they can go to. It's.
Are they halfway across the country?
Jack, name one other employee in this county that you've questioned for going to a conference. One other employee.
Well, I don't know of any other ones that fly across the country and are gone for 4 or 5 weeks.
Dan's gone to national conferences multiple times.
It's a privilege, you know, they have been.
What's the difference?
Let's call the vote.
So have you turned your motel room in yet?
Not yet. I haven't had time to do all the paperwork. That I've had a few other priorities, but
You know how much the whole trip totals?
I don't have everything put together.
This is registration for a conference. I mean, I'm not opposed to paying a registration for it.
But the only comment that I'm gonna make, it'd be nice to probably you inform the board before you go that you're going.
I did.
I mean, we were all well aware he was going.
Yeah, that was discussed probably 2 months ago.
That would have been the time to say no. Before, not
I-
after, I guess.
I did.
So if it didn't pass before, then I guess we'll just have the vote. Want to do the roll call vote?
Platt,
Yes, yes.
You should vote yes.
Not pay it. That's yes, not pay it.
Can you repeat the motion so everyone's clear?
motion by Platt and second by Sharps to disallow the claim to Kossuth for a NACO conference in the amount of $520.
Yes.
Yes. Matt,
No,
Whacker,
No,
Stecker,
No,
Sharps,
No. Now you want to make a motion to approve it?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion by Whacker. Second by
I'll second.
Carter. Any discussion on the motion? Do another roll call vote, please.
Platt,
No.
Nath,
Yes.
Whacker,
Yes,
Stecker,
yes,
Sharps,
Yes. Next, we're up to the handwritten claim for community
ICAP.
ICAP, yeah.
that bill came late to, Derek. It came months after it was due,
Yeah,
so,
came in extremely late.
yeah,
I'm not sure what happened with that, but as soon as it came in, we got it Tammy.
Does that come in on email or mail?
No, she hand delivered it to us, so.
Okay,
So we don't know what happened there, but it needed payment right away. So
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, by the way. She drove it down there.
I'll move to approve. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
Second by Stecker, any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried unanimous. Acknowledge transfers made by the auditor from rural basic in the amount of 250,000. This is local option sales tax. Does anybody have any questions on the transfer?
yes, that gets done twice a year.
Let the record show that we acknowledge the transfer. Discussion to approve family farm application allowances and disallowances. They're in your folder.
Is that the same as ag land outlaws and disallows? No.
No, this is the
Ag.
ag land changes by tax district.
Ag
Oh.
land disallows, or ag land allows and disallows is first.
That's, okay.
Want, somebody come in and explain it, or?
Brittany and Chris.
Brittany?
yeah.
Brittany, why'd you do that?
A lot of those were already filed last year. I just have to keep continually doing them. It does show on there the ones that are new. It's either property that's been bought or maybe classification changes. The acres just don't add up to 10 contiguously.
Line with all the rules in the code.
Yep.
Couple quick questions on it. What do the X's mean under that new send letter?
So there's, so if they're highlighted, that means I need to, like, to send them a letter or not to send them a letter.
Oh, okay, Okay.
Need to know.
An internal process.
Yes, I'm not resending to the same people, every year.
right, sure.
And I do check on those as well to make sure that they didn't violate any ground. So I'm double checking.
Thank you.
Super.
Good question.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Do I have a motion,
I'd make a motion for the ag land.
allowances and disallowances?
Yeah,
I'll second.
Second by Wactor. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous.
Lock this up.
Gee, thanks.
You have carpal tunnel? If not, you will.
Discussion decision, family farm application allowances and disallowances. Oh,
Christie's up now.
yeah,
Family farm disallowances is pretty simple. If you buy a new property, you need to fill out an application. If you don't fill it out, you're gonna be denied. So if it's going out, as long as a relative, there's a little spreadsheet you follow, if that relative is farming it, they qualify for the credit.
does everybody understand?
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Christina.
Motion to approve application for allowances and disallowances.
I'll make the motion.
Carter? Second,
I'll second.
Stecker, any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Next, we have to complete pre-application for rural EMS pilot program.
Thank you.
Bill, you put it on the agenda again.
I presented 2 weeks ago. I have no additional comments at this time.
Okay,
I was requested to put it on, so I would like to hear what Kyle has to say regarding to request to put it on the agenda.
So, after the previous conversation, I did more research because it seemed like there was a substantial amount of concerns presented, and it didn't seem like there was research put into those concerns. One of which was liability, and I was gonna ask, have any of you guys looked at the code section for the Good Samaritan law?
Yes, I know all about the Good Samaritan law. It's been brought up, but the point of the fact is, there isn't a contract that's ever been written or even a law that can't be broken. And with the county running this program, I'll assure you that as soon as something happens, they're gonna come after the county with both like deer in the headlights, because there's no, any attorney could take that, turn around and with the county, with being involved in it, they would come after us. And sue us for, because we're a government entity.
So I would, that can be your opinion, but I would disagree. This is, in my opinion, this is the easiest section of code I've ever read. I mean, with 468 drainage code, there's sections in there that are complicated and not very clear. But item 2 is the following persons or entities, while acting reasonably and in good faith, who render emergency care or assistance relating to the preparation for and response to a sudden cardiac arrest emergency, shall not be liable for any civil damages or acts or omissions arising out of the use of an AED, whether occurring at the place of an emergency or accident, or while such persons in transit, which wouldn't apply here. Then item B under that, it says a person or entity that owns, manages, or is otherwise responsible for the premises on which an AED is located. If the person or entity maintains the AED in a condition for immediate and effective use at all times, subject to standards developed by the Department of Public Health. So I mean, that's pretty clear that the entities responsible for the AEDs, for example, which would be part of this go bag, are not liable for the use of it. It's all contingent. The whole section is contingent on acting in good faith. And if someone's not acting in good faith, they should be punished. That's the common thing.
Explain to me how doctors get sued, then aren't they acting in good faith all the time? Aren't nurses acting in good faith and they get sued for millions of dollars when something happens?
Well, there is liability reform at the state level for that, but there was,
Only for a dollar amount.
but that had a dollar amount already. That was a section of code that does not apply here.
There is an attorney that would shred that to bits in it.
Have you asked any attorneys about this? Todd Holmes or anyone?
Have you?
I don't have
I
concerns.
don't
over
have
it.
to. I know how laws work and how attorneys work, and there's a contract looking out to the. And I'll assure you, we would get sued if something happened drastically or somebody died with somebody with minimal training.
Another part of that too, sorry to interrupt, another part of that too is, this has been clarified by the lieutenant governor that these people we recruit are protected by the Good Samaritan law. I agree with what Kyle says 100%, but nowhere does it say in that law that they cannot be litigation brought against them. They will have to pay for their own defense out of their own pocket. There is no insurance to cover them for that defense. Yes, they may win the case based on Good Samaritan law, but that still does not limit them from having a legal obligation or a financial obligation to pay for legal defense if something's brought against them. It's more than just an AED. We may only have an AED provided in these bags, but there's more than that. There's more cases that they're gonna arrive on scene than just an AED case, where they may perform something that causes further damage. Yes, they're protected by the Good Samaritan law, but they're not protected from having legal allegation brought against them.
Well,
That was also brought up to the lieutenant governor when we had a conference call with him. His response back to me was, to Kyle and me, was, you can get sued anytime you walk out of your house. What's the difference?
that's right.
The difference is we're training these people as county. We are recruiting these people as county. We're asking them to do something for a page they're receiving from a county system to respond. The county will be brought to legal action if something happens. I truly believe that.
That's it. Look at all the lawsuits that are brought against doctors who have seven,
if
8,
he's
10,
gonna
12
talk,
years
he
of
should.
training and something happens and they get sued for millions of dollars. And I guess the other thing is again, we have protocol as a board. And we put these things on the agenda. We've already discussed it. We voted on it. And now it comes back again. How many more times is it gonna come up? Oh, I mean, we could take this entire agenda. If one person on the board doesn't agree and wants to put it on, we could go and put every one of these agendas on every week and come the end of the year, we have 52 agendas and we could hash them all over again.
Jack,
We
that's,
have protocol, Kyle,
That
and you
is
don't seem to
ridiculous.
understand that.
what
there's
what
things-
about the next item that you put on?
Yes, that's a different issue. Again, we have protocol that somebody took it upon themselves and that issue we'll talk about when we get there. We're not there yet. I'll give you my reasons for that when we get to it. This one we have to take care of first.
So, well, obviously, liability is one thing, but at the end of the day, one of the things Phil had said while we were on the conference call is it'd be something we'd need to look into as far as whether these volunteers could be included on our insurance for liability coverage. And all the volunteer EMTs and drivers for the cities are all on their city's insurance coverage. I haven't looked into the prices there, but from what I know, it's not that expensive to add someone for liability coverage. And at the bare minimum, my point of this is if we do the pre-application, it gives us 2 months to get more information and make a more informed decision. So if there's questions that can't be answered, that's the whole point of doing the pre-application and allowing more time to have solid answers.
Well, there's one read, first of all, somebody has to do the training, these people. Then all this equipment has to be purchased. And then it has to be retrained. It's gonna be a cost of $25,000. And again, at the time when we don't even know if we have enough money to give the raises that we're gonna be looking at.
Why do you
We're
assume?
still trying to get a brand new ambulance service off the ground and running, but we're just in its infancy yet. And then to throw that's some more stuff in there. And then we have every police officer, every deputy sheriff. Most towns already have first responders. We could, Phil referred to that, about how many first responders there are. So it isn't like we don't have people in the county doing this already. But to take this and throw this on the back of emergency management, another piece of the pie, I just don't think we should do that to Phil at this time when there's so many things we're trying to get finished up on a brand new system that's just in its infancy.
Why do you assume tax dollars have to go into this?
Those $25,000 has to come from somewhere.
Local contribution, do you not think any businesses would participate in this?
I don't know.
Have you done any research?
But
Have you talked to anyone? Yeah, I have.
Who's gonna donate that?
Who's gonna donate it?
I don't have a check in hand, but I've had many
No, wait a second. You
conversations.
asked me about giving names here a week ago and I gave you names. So give me the names of the companies that have already told you they're gonna donate. You're good about always getting somebody else to give you a name, but when we ask you for a name of somebody, you say, well, I'm not gonna give out a name.
If we're not gonna do the pre-application, why would anyone's name be out there?
You just said, you talk to people. You've got names.
Yeah, let's stop the argument. Go ahead, Carter.
You two aren't gonna get anywhere talking to each other here. What we need to look at is, this is the pre-application. And 2 weeks ago, when Bill came to the board and we discussed this. I mean, I was for the public, I was the only one that was not at the Lieutenant Governor's presentation, and nor did I read through the slides or anything in regards to the program. I did not have very much information about the program 2 weeks ago, and I made the decision my vote was based on the fact that we would need someone to run the program. And we have some issues with, Bill is has a lot on his plate. And so that is the main issue for me, the liability. I don't think the governor would present a program that would endanger the liability of citizens. I think there's definitely some ways, and I have called people and looked into that, but this is the pre-application. I think it's a wonderful program. I do. I think it's an excellent program. And I'd like to see it happen, but we need someone to be willing to spearhead it and run it. I do also believe, after talking to folks outside the county and inside the county, that I'm not worried about the $25,000. And it does not have to come from tax money, and I understand that. I spent all day yesterday on the phone, so I guess in order for me to want to move forward with this, we need someone to be able to spearhead it and run it, and I don't think Phil is in a place to do that at the moment. Would that be correct, Phil?
We can get it done.
Okay, so it was suggested,
On page 6 of this information that I presented to you guys, on page 6, it says eligible uses of the funding from the grant money that's received, and one item that says personnel's time dedicated to this project. I don't hire somebody.
what is the time requirement for filling out the pre-application? What does that all entail? Because we're not committed, but what does that entail for personnel to complete the pre-application to look into the program? I'm not saying we have to, but just so that the public has the information, we have the information.
It's a grant, it's a state grant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you just complete the pre-application with the state grant.
I mean, are we
Phil,
talking?
have you already started that?
Yes.
Okay, cause I had asked Morgan, what time requirements would be or whatever, and she said she was told there's already one started in the system, so would
I
that,
wanted to research to see what time was involved in actually completing the pre-application, if that's the direction that went.
How
Okay.
close are you to having it?
I only opened it, I only logged in, opened it up and skimmed through the pages.
And
So
after
it's
looking at
more-
it,
It's more detailed than just saying, yes, I'm interested in applying. It is a little more detailed than that.
and after
I would
looking
say
at,
a couple hours.
okay,
Then another piece of this puzzle is we have no clue what the future cost would be, for equipment to add this to dispatch. We have no clue. Sure, they're saying there's people are gonna.
And
donate, but
that's part of the investigation period.
And we
This is
can-
the pre-app to get into that investigation.
we are not agreeing to anything, and I understand that.
I.
But do we want to spend a couple hours to look into the program? Is it worth looking into? Does not mean we have to do it. I understand that more now. But, okay,
One-
if Phil does not have the time to do the pre-application, do we have someone that is willing to do that?
to that point, I would say this probably should have gone through the EMS board originally, after being presented by the governor in the code with the essential service. The EMS board is supposed to make recommendations to the board of supervisors. I think this should easily and definitely should go in front of the EMS board, and that would be something that could be addressed. I think there's options in that regard. If hiring someone through the grant to manage it is a possibility, the pre-application would give us time to look into that and handle that if necessary, but
Who's
the
gonna
whole
pay-
point-
Who's gonna pay those wages when the grant's done?
That's part of. what
that's
we
part of
investigate.
research.
Yeah.
You're
I
not-
guess it doesn't hurt to look into the program is what I'm saying.
Why not let,
Do we have-
why not let a couple other communities or counties be the guinea pigs on this first? If we're down the road, if it works, the state's gonna open it up to more counties and more communities.
Was that your intention from the needs assessment in 2007 that went unattended until 2019?
It didn't go unattended. We backfilled the City of Algona on ambulance funds and
There was one paramedic paid until
we did backfill.
discussions started happening.
That's exactly
That
why-
paid for a lot
that's
more
exactly
than
why
one
we-
paramedic, Mr. Stecker.
Worked on this for several years, and that's why we decided to go to an essential service. It wasn't what we hadn't been concerned about it. It's been.
So to that point, then you have essential service vote that just passed. And this is a program that's just getting started. One of the concerns I heard all the time from people that voted for it and people that voted against it is not driving out the volunteers that we currently have. This, to me, looks like something that would fit the system we have designed already, would fit with it very well and would help keep those people engaged. And for people in the rural areas, I mean, maybe doesn't apply as much to Algona, but outside of Algona, you're not guaranteed a response in 5 minutes. So if someone's having a heart attack, seconds are critical. And that's the purpose of this program. If you can save one life, it's worth it. So I mean,
I'm
if
not,
it's,
I'm not against the program, but I'd like somebody else to be the guinea pig and do it first. I don't know that we want to be the county that takes it on and tries to make it work unless we really have a,
I'd rather focus our time on the current EMS.
yeah.
so why did we push so hard to get the EMS essential service vote on the ballot this last fall? What was the urgency there?
Because with the entire EMS system was in a quagmire. We had towns that weren't able to buy ambulances anymore. We had people, some towns that had people and didn't have people. We had communities that couldn't put, that weren't getting, didn't have people to run the ambulance when a call came out. So we decided, we thought we really knew that we needed to have a full-time service, that we had people on call 24/7 that would answer calls in a more timely fashion and make it an essential service to serve the needs of the people more efficiently.
You just made my point. We've got areas in this county that are underserved.
But
That's what we're
The-
what we're trying to address.
yeah, my point is are we gonna get any volunteers to do it, Phil? I mean, we can pass this program, but unless we have people that volunteer to do this, it's worthless.
Well, we're not passing the program right now.
We-
We're doing the pre-app,
Right.
do the investigation period. During that
But is it
investigation
worth it?
period, we can look at who's gonna volunteer.
We're not getting people to volunteer right now in small towns.
But that's because of the heavy burden that's placed on them. You have people that are very intelligent, that know all the skills, but that can't pass the EMT test.
Dude, that's a contradiction of terms. If they're very intelligent and everything else and can't pass the test.
Not really. I mean, there's,
One of first responders.
Depends on level, so there's EMRs, which is an emergency medical responder. They have less training requirements than an EMT, and there's an advanced EMT and there's a paramedic.
So an EMR, what training do they have?
EMR is 3 months.
Most of the EMR.
Most of the EMR, that's why I looked there. We don't have a lot of EMR classes, because they're so limited on the things they can do. This program here, these people that we're recruiting here will have even less have less abilities than an EMR. So probably 3-4 months of the classes, EMT is about 6 months. It's based on hours. I'd have to look up the exact hour, but class normally runs, they run by college semesters, so they try to do one in the fall semester, one in the spring semester. Other classes, EMR class gets done sooner than class one.
but that's the point of this program, is to get people in at a lower requirement for training, a lower requirement for the actual time on the scene. They can't, if say a call comes in a mile down the road from my place, I go that mile, help on scene till the ambulance arrives, do whatever I can in the moment. And then the ambulance picks them up and takes them off and I go back home. It's a lower burden for education, a lower burden for each call. And the purpose is to try and help your friends and neighbors and your community as a whole. So, I mean,
That's exactly what we're addressing with the essential services that we have in place right now.
we
And have
can't
all
solve
the first
that.
responders and all the police officers and state and deputies that are all first responders.
As I stated 2 weeks ago, I think this program does have merit. I think it does have some possibility of being okay. I'm just gonna say okay, because my concern with that statement is only providing these people with enough education to carry a defib, basically. There's gonna be a lot of scenes they're gonna write on and not be able to provide care that a person may be having a medical emergency with. But that's beside the point, it's still providing some sort of care right away. So it does have some merit in Kossuth County in the future. I am very concerned about the liability portion. I'm also very concerned with the ability to have time to do this program and train people. If you read through this information that I put in your packet, and you read through all the requirements that's involved in this pilot program, and they're quite intense, what has to be done. It's gonna be a huge time commitment. It's not gonna be an hour a week. It's gonna be a huge time commitment. There's quarterly reports, there's matrices we have to develop. There's nothing in place for us to follow. We have to develop these for other counties of the state. That's my big concern.
And there's a lot of situations where these people wouldn't be able to do anything. I mean,
And I understand where Kyle's coming from, saying this is just pre-app. Gives us 2 months to do research. I get that part of it. I planned on taking yesterday and today off because I had 48 hours of vacation I lose tomorrow. I was here till 10:30 last night. And I'll be here till, who knows, tonight. I have Medicare revalidation. I don't even know how I can get the pre-app done today. I really don't.
Bill, I got one question. In your opinion, I think this is a great program, but how many times would somebody that's not trained go to an emergency and actually do something good?
If it's cardiac arrest,
That's about it?
pretty much. Because we
So,
don't have the equipment. So if we have a child that has a allergic reaction and they go into anaphylactic shock.
Yeah.
We can do nothing except sit there and say, I have a defib, when you die, I'll try to shock you. Okay, we don't have the tools to treat these people. Which is unfortunate.
But
But,
that's
time is critical in the event of cardiac arrest.
correct.
Minutes is muscle, it's important. So there's some benefits there into these Laverne area, these outside areas that have no response until we can get there with ALS.
So how many how many calls would actually, the ambulances like in Tyke and Lakota, they get how many calls a year now?
Type,
Yeah. Other than the care center. Lakota, do they get a handful? I mean, do they get that many too?
probably 20.
20? So there would be that many times that somebody would go before the ambulance got there? Is that the object?
If they're available, they would, they'll have an app on their phone, on their cell phone, have an app. They can click on the app that says I'm available during these hours. So dispatch will see that. And if there's somebody available during that, when a call comes in, if there's somebody available within a 5-mile circle or whatever we pick for a circle, that person will be dispatched to that scene. But if they choose not to be available during that time, we still may not have anybody respond.
So every community would need a handful of 5 or more volunteers to actually make it work. This is I don't want to start a program and have it fail
I think
completely.
you'd want to have at least 2 or 3 in each community to start with, to make sure that you had somebody to respond to see what the benefits of the program really were.
So is this gonna take away from the volunteers that we now have in the ambulance system?
Anytime you do a change, it's always a concern what's gonna happen to volunteers, just like we do full-time staff. full-time staff is very hard on volunteers because they've done it for so many years. You've been a volunteer for 20, 30 years, and now you see somebody that's there that actually relieved me. They step down.
Yeah.
I've been looking for an out for the past 5 years, and they. Could this also do that effect? It's possible. They can say, oh, now I have somebody else that's willing to be that first responder. I don't have to do it and step out. Or it could get them excited to have more help and.
And this is a one-time money this year only,
Grant program?
right?
Yes.
I
And
mean,
actually, if you read the grant program, some of the dollars are held back until next fiscal year. So some of this money's gonna have to come out of somebody's budget up front, and then we'll get reimbursed next year after we do the final grant paperwork.
So, yeah.
It said it was on a reimbursement basis, but I didn't see next, what do you mean next fiscal year?
We took on a big program and made EMS essential service, and I just think we need to put all of our time and effort, and the people we have hired to get that up and running and working efficiently, and down the road, a year or so from now, we could take another look at something like this, but as of today, I'm just not in favor of putting our personnel and pulling them off of a program that's just in its infancy, that we need to make sure is a success, and maybe a pilot program for the rest of the state. And I, for one, just think we need to let our personnel focus on what we're doing right now.
did anybody
There's-
change their mind from their opinion before?
Just coming from a standpoint of living in the Laverne area, where we don't have a response crew, and the EMS levy that we passed doesn't fix the issue of volunteers. It doesn't. And everyone's struggling with volunteers. I get that too. But I mean, just to have 2 or 3 people that can respond in the Laverne area, I think that is a wonderful idea.
Well,
And whether we can make that work, I don't know. At some point in our future, we're gonna have to do something. And whether it's right now or whether it's in the future, we're gonna have to do something to work towards that.
and this was presented as community or a county, so, and you're on the board of Laverne, why don't you take it to your city and say, why don't you
Well,
apply for
and
an
that-
application?
And that's another discussion, when we're talking about the county, but
But the point, or to follow up with what you just said there, Carter. The areas in this county, Laverne would be an example, that have little or no response, would be the ones that would immensely benefit from this. Laverne is not going to get anyone there faster with the essential service vote that passed, because they're already coming from Algona. We've had full-time staff in Algona, they're already coming from Algona with an ambulance. So to get a tangible benefit to areas that currently don't have coverage in that regard, you need something outside the box. And this has potential beyond saving someone's life in a heart attack. That's obviously great and the main point. But this could be a training tool you can develop if you have, say you have 30 people that are part of this program. If 10% of them say, hey, I have an interest in this and I want to go on, there's your pipeline of talent for the future. For when people retire, when people are sick, you've got people you could maybe call on. Maybe they get excited and want to become an EMT or a paramedic down the road. It would be a way to tie the communities back into a system that is designed to be full-time right now.
I don't think nobody's changing anybody's mind. I call for the question. Would you do a roll call vote, please?
And we had a motion.
There hasn't been.
we haven't had a motion. One
Wow, get a motion on the floor.
last thing,
We're having a lot of discussion without a motion.
all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
You
make a
can
motion.
ask, you can
Once
ask.
again, I'm gonna make a motion that we not, apply for this at this time.
Plath makes a motion not to apply. I'll second his motion, and now we had legal discussion.
just when I first looked at I got back from vacation, looked at the agenda, I was I didn't understand why it was on the agenda again, because we did vote on it. Like I said, I did not have a lot of information. After talking with other counties, talking with a number of probably 6 or 7 residents yesterday that are related to this issue in the county who would have concerns related to it. I see the benefit of the program. We need to know who is going to be in charge. And being Phil is not, I don't believe Phil is the one to be in charge of it because he has enough other stuff on his plate. And so that is my concern. I'm not opposed to moving forward with the pre-application and looking into it, but we need to know who's going to be in charge of it.
And to follow that up, I understand Phil's concerns with the time frame and all that, and I don't dismiss that. I agree we need to have answers to who's gonna manage it and answers to other questions, but
You're rehashing everything again, Kyle.
I feel it deserves an answer.
How's it gonna be paid?
Investigation.
You're rehashing everything again. We
Chris,
gotta move forward
I
here.
don't mean to put you on the spot, but what do you think as far as within your qualifications, within your job? I mean, do you feel this is something you would,
No, I don't have time. I have
Okay.
an annex that I have to put together, plus the commission has to approve it because that's different monies. I can't use my money that.
We can't assess it to
Now you're looking at hiring
information, but
I don't think we need to be thinking about hiring.
Well, 2 months would give us time to get an answer to that.
And I don't have time to help do that pre-app either. I got a meeting tomorrow and
Phil for the pre-app, is that something you had to create an account for to log in and all that? I'm assuming,
Just had to go in, you can register.
okay, well. I will do that if that's the hold up as far as paperwork for the pre-app.
we have a motion on the floor. Do a roll call
I'm
vote.
gonna call for the vote.
Plath,
The motion is not to.
Yeah, vote yes, not to, apply.
Nat,
not to, I'll pass.
Wactor,
No,
Stecker,
No,
Jerks.
I'll pass and let Carter vote.
Carter, do you want to vote again? Vote.
Question for answer, but. No,
Jerks, could you?
Yes,
I still would like the question answered. Is there anyone within the county that can run the program? And if not, then we can vote to do the program, but if there's nobody to run it, then it's not. We'll have to look into it in the future. And that's my opinion on it. Is there anyone else in the Emergency Medical Services Department in the county here that can run the program?
The 3-2 vote, we're not gonna be worried, okay, we're spinning our wheels for the next 2 months and we'll be denied. If we don't have a 5-0 vote at that time.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
If you
that's not,
he needs full support of the board or he's not gonna put his total 100% effort into it, or
that's an opinion. I don't disagree with it, but
Okay.
that's not
That's
a
just what I said.
criteria.
Phil is our EMS director, and for better or for worse, that's where we're at. I don't know. You can't force a program to,
The vote didn't pass, Carter,
Well,
so
yeah.
we'll need to have either drop it or move on with a vote to pass it. We're not gonna have discussion without a motion on the floor.
It passed to
If Pat,
pre-app, to pre-apply.
no.
no, the motion was to not apply. We need to have a motion to apply.
Or to not even.
our,
In regards to who would handle this, I would
put a
feel.
motion on the floor, we did enough discussion without motion.
I would make a motion to fill out the pre-application and direct the EMS board to look into this. This should be a topic that is in their wheelhouse. That's the purpose of that board. And it doesn't have to be on Phil's responsibility. That board is put there for a reason.
So what is your motion? All that, or what is your motion?
My motion is to fill out the pre-application and direct the EMS board to work on this topic.
Is there a second to Kyle's motion?
I'll second.
Who's that, Waxer?
Yes.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion?
What is the EMS board going to do with it if we approve it?
In general, it would be direction for them to do research, or I guess that can be up to direction by the board.
Research is fine, but
Research as far as the program itself, any details of that as far as putting together, like the rubric has things that are outlined for the proposal. Could be working on putting the proposal together, figuring out who could administer it, if that's something we can hire someone for. All putting the pieces of the puzzle together, I guess. I don't have specifics in mind, but
It's still our decision.
I'm looking at the board and we don't have full support of the board, nor do we have support from either of our emergency service directors. And I don't think we can, I love the program. I just don't think we can force it to succeed. So
I'll call for the vote.
Can I clarify before we do a vote? Who's gonna fill out the pre-app?
I can if needed.
So
it,
I mean,
go ahead, Roger.
and
I. What authority do you have to fill it out from the county? Do we have to have
motion.
that in the motion that we're gonna give you authority to fill it out?
that is in motion.
It says for
Well,
the EMS, it doesn't say for Kyle Stecker.
I just put that.
You put Kyle Stecker, okay, we're gonna clarify that.
And it buys us 2 months. It does not cost us anything except time, which I'm willing to put into it. It gives us the ability to answer these questions.
Why don't you read the
Okay, so-
motion back now so that we know what we're talking about?
Motion by Stecker, second by Wactor, for Kyle Stecker to fill out the pre-application for a rural EMS pilot program and direct the EMS board to look into the project.
To clarify the motion for myself. Kyle would fill out the pre-application. It would then go to the EMS advisory board at their next meeting. They would look into it. If someone is found to run the program, then we'd move forward. If someone is not able to run the program, then we would deny it.
All of
If the
those,
state approves ours, because there's other counties that are doing the same application.
Okay.
yeah,
This is not a given that this is gonna happen.
Select it.
all of those decisions on how that would actually, like, if someone was to be hired.
So there are a
if-
number of counties applying for this.
Correct.
Oh, that I was not aware of.
There's a
Yeah.
number of counties applying.
I haven't been told the number, but it is available
Well,
to
how
others
would you
as
know
well.
until the counties?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
that's, the
Yeah.
pre-application narrows the field from all the counties it was presented to down to the ones that are interested in the
Well,
program.
I don't think anybody's changing their
Yep.
mind. Let's have a vote on the motion.
So I'd like to kind of say one thing before you vote.
Yes.
Um. You know, Kyle's, when I brought up the point that we don't have full board support, the governor's not gonna pick us to have the program here in Kossuth County. Comment back to me was, that's my opinion. I just want you to know that's not my opinion. That is the direct words from Lieutenant Governor Gregg when we had the conference call with him last week. So if you guys want to proceed with this pre-application and research for 2 months, we should have a 5-0 vote from the board and have full support from everybody, because if we don't, we're gonna spin our wheel for 2 months and waste
Yeah.
a whole lot of
I
people.
heard the exact same thing.
So if you want to proceed with this, let's have a 5-0 vote. I'll support it, but I'm not gonna put a bunch of time into it. If you don't want to proceed with this, let's 5-0 no.
Everybody understand the motion?
And I think it's,
Kyle, you've talked enough on this today to
I
kill a
call
horse.
for the vote.
Jack, or do the roll call vote.
No,
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
yes,
Jerks,
No. 3-2. Motion fails. Our next agenda item is to change some committee appointments that were made from January 3rd
I
till,
put this on because I was gone when this happened. And again, this is going against our protocol as a board, our kind of the rules we followed for the last 18 years I've been on this board. These committee appointments are done at our January meeting, the very first meeting of the new year. We go through all the committees, we talk, people ask which committees they want to be on, and then those committees are put on. Then all of a sudden I find out that for some reason, somebody came along and took Mr. Jarks off of the committee that he was on, and he never requested to be removed from that committee. And this doesn't follow protocol at all. I don't know how this happened or why it happened, but this is not the way we operate as a county. It's never happened this way. And I just want to have some clarification on how this kind of going against the grain of our normal policy and way of doing business happened. And
did you review the meeting video at
no, I
all?
talked to Roger.
Oh,
I did
And
post that,
And Roger did not request to be removed from any boards.
I did pose that very question when we discussed that, is if it was able for us to do, if we were able to do that at a later time from when we, and Roger did say, yes, we were. So
you can.
yeah, that,
But like I said, this is not,
It
never
was
happened in 18
just-
years.
just summarize, the reason it was put on the agenda is because when the three of us were at new officer school, the emergency management code section was discussed very specifically. And with how that presentation went, I thought of the decision we had made on the 3rd to have 2 members on that board. And in the code, you can't have 2 representatives of the supervisors on EMA. So there needed to be a clarification of the primary delegate and the alternate representative. So that clarification was made. While we were having discussions on that, other things changed, but the initial meeting, I had talked about being on EMS as well, and it did not make it in the notes or whatever, for whatever reason. That's not an issue, but if you want to go back and look at things that were discussed, it was discussed. There was other things that Roger brought up with other boards that fit together better, so we made some other changes as well. But it's well within the authority to make those changes. And the reason it was put on the agenda was a legal reason. So
Legal reason of what?
The code.
EMA code,
he does have a point. We can't have 2 members of the supervisors, but
I started
do
with
it all valid. We can have an
You can have
alternate.
an
But they
alternate.
don't have.
We were both listed at the same,
That's-
Just like.
we were
2 people there.
an and,
correct.
The
you
vote.
can't have and that's how it was listed
Well, it
was
should have
and.
just been clarified then as an alternate, as a,
Well,
Remember,
that's what we're doing.
that's what we did.
no, it's not. You took him off of the board and put yourself on.
Well,
Don't we have an
my other-
alternate?
My other point is you guys all discussed it at the meeting in Des Moines, I heard.
Right.
Together, that was kind of an
Not
illegal.
EMS.
Yeah, you did. That's what I was told.
By who?
I'm not gonna say, because you don't say, so I don't have to either.
I was told the same thing that you guys talked about.
Guess I don't remember a lengthy discussion about that.
No.
We didn't discuss as to what decisions. We discussed that the code stated that we could not have 2 people delegated. We could have 1 delegate, 1 alternate. That was what was discussed.
Roger was the delegate and somebody took it upon themselves to to have a vote to take him off of a board that he had not requested to be removed from.
We discussed having it on the agenda down in Des Moines because of what was presented. We did not discuss
Did
anything.
Roger ever request to be removed from that board?
That's not the ultimate deciding factor.
It is, because
No,
we
it's
follow
not.
protocol. What we do in this county, Kyle, is that at the January meeting, we go through all those committees. We talk about the committees, we go around and say, would you like to be, yes, I'd be on. Okay, Roger said he would be on EMS. That's.
So did I.
Approved. Yes, as an alternate.
And it wasn't listed.
Okay, so what?
So
We can change that part.
discussed
We
it
can
and
change
changed
that
it.
part, make you the alternate, but Roger should still be on that board. That's what we agreed to in January, and that should not come up again until next January unless somebody says, I don't want to be on that board anymore. I'd like to make a change. That can happen, but it only happens when the person's on that board makes a request.
That's
That-
your opinion.
That's not, that's the way it's been done for 18 years, Kyle.
So where is that in the code?
It's normal that's part of, go back and look at the first of the year business. First of the year business is you look at committees, you make committee assignments. And we assigned those committees on January 3rd, and then you and whoever else decided that you wanted to have a vote to take somebody off the committee that they made no request to be removed from. That's not the way we do business here. That's not the way it's ever been done. And that is something that takes place on the first of the year business. Unless Roger requested to be removed from that assignment, he should be put back on it.
I have no personal feelings on, that we need to leave them outside as well, as far as our relationship. We're doing county business.
I would think my 18 years of experience on this board should mean something.
And it does, and I respect that.
Well, it doesn't seem to be respected because all of a sudden people come along and and they think they can do whatever they want willy-nilly. And that's not the way we operate. January, first year of the new business, we've always made committee assignments. They're not voted on, they are assigned. If people say, yes, we go around, we discuss who wants to be on this committee. And you say, yeah, I'll take that committee, and that's how we do it. And that person we agree that person is assigned that committee. We don't go 2 months after the fact and say, oh, well, I don't think so-and-so should be on that committee, so let's ramrod him out of there.
I agree, and I don't think that's what happened. And just from my perspective, and I did not talk to the other supervisors to connive that motion. I was sitting here hearing the motion, okay?
Yeah.
But I received a couple of phone calls from citizens that are involved on the EMS board suggesting that. Oh, okay, that's fine. And so that's the change that we made. And so I was going based on people that talked to me, and the motion was made of it, and I guess it wasn't a big argumentative deal when it was done, and so we went ahead with it. I don't know.
The other point of this is the committee appointments are a board decision. That was a decision that was made by the board, by policy that is.
Right.
Exactly. So,
Beginning of the year.
right, but things can be revisited and
You don't ramrod somebody out of unless they make a request. Did he request to be removed from EMS board?
no, but
Okay.
was it a decision made by the board
I
member?
wasn't here.
Right,
Guess what? There's decisions made when I'm not here
How is
too.
that not taken to the EMS advisory board?
Right. That was never asked the EMS advisory board, should Roger Jarks be removed?
How about at the next meeting before we go and change things again? Why don't at the next EMS advisory board meeting, bring that up and change if needed? That's what it is.
No, I think we should do this today, Rod, that should be, if you want to talk about it, that's fine, but Roger should be reassigned to that board because he was put on the January 3rd meeting and he did not make a request to be removed.
So I didn't make a request to be removed before either
Removed from what?
from the EMS board.
You weren't on it.
You were never on it. You were always the alternate, you said.
Well, he's talking about the committee that we had before.
Back,
The
yeah,
Planning committee, that was 2 years before that.
no, there's a lot more history than you're incorporating into your
Well, tell me the
presentation.
history, because I don't know any of it.
What?
I don't know any of the history that you're talking about.
Well, do you wanna go back to when it was on the agenda to remove me off the EMS board back in 2020? Or whenever it was, I can find that agenda item, that was middle of the year too. But
We
that seemed
dissolved the
to,
board.
no, we didn't.
Yeah,
No.
we did.
Show me in the minutes, cause that never happened. But that came up middle of the year, and you seemed to be perfectly fine with it at that point in time. Cause it fit your desired goal.
I don't know, I'm just talking about what's going on here today, and Roger did not make the request to be removed from that committee or that board assignment.
Do you want me to go back and find when that was
I don't
discussed?
care what happened back then, we're talking.
You were
about-
on the
that's
board,
what's
you
okay,
should
so,
care,
well,
consistency,
that's-
right?
That's not gonna change, we're not talking about that, we're talking about this. That, what happened back then we can't change that, it's done, that advisory board was dissolved, anyway.
No, it wasn't.
It was
Yes, it was.
dissolved.
Show me in the minutes, cause it wasn't. It's never dissolved, there was never action taken.
I'm making the request that we go back to January 3rd, Roger be put on the EMS board as it was pre-designated back in January. And if the EMS board makes a decision or whatever, makes a request, or Roger makes a request to be removed, that's a different item, but Roger did not make that request. And, that's not how we do business here as a board. It's never been done that way.
Can I just comment quick? Kyle's gonna do the for the last motion. He's not on the board, he can't do that, so that would affect the
The
last.
pre-application
Pre-application that we just moved on.
failed.
Fail.
Yeah, it failed, so, okay, yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
confusing today.
I don't think we need a motion on it or a vote on it. It's just, that was all decided on January 3rd. And he was pushed out without his request, and there's no valid reason for him to be removed from that board when he didn't request it.
Mr.
Well, it was a-
Mr. Wagner, are you along, do you in agreement that, with Jack, or you in agreement with Casey before we make any?
Casey's not here.
Our plat, sorry. This is too much arguing today.
I say that we don't make any more changes this year. We're 2 months into it. It was a board decision that happened then.
And
And if it needs to be changed again, it'll be a board decision. There would need to be a motion. So if you're not making a motion, then we need to keep it the same.
Carter, you for changing anything?
I'm not. I don't see why we need to change, but I understand the concern. I think it probably is the best policy to stick with the board assignments that are decided, but we're flexible on that too, so
At any time, you can request to change your board assignment if you want it, but it's not.
In the past, we had people actually had to write a letter to the board to
Right.
get off the committee.
Requesting to be, and that's
Removed.
probably,
I imagine probably most of the time that the committees that people don't wanna be on are those that probably no one would want to be on, but I don't know.
Oh, but that was in the past, and that's where
Okay.
Jack's coming from. In
Sure.
order to take somebody off the board, they had to be request with a letter to be taken off the board.
I'd say let's just move on, because I don't know that further discussion on it or argumentation on it is gonna be for the good of the Kossuth County.
well, if I have to do it, then if you guys request, I'm gonna make the motion that we go back to the January 3rd, committee assignments as they were done in January 3rd. There should have never been changed, and Roger Jarts did not make the request to be removed from that committee.
There was multiple things that was changed there. It wasn't one item that
Wasn't
got
just-
changed.
Who else got changed?
I changed to an alternate of a different committee. I think that was my only change.
Did you ask to do that?
I did not.
That was based on the discussion we had in the boardroom, and it was a board decision.
I was fine with it.
I don't know, but I mean, that's, you made a request. but-
It was not the only change we made. And that is true. I wasn't thinking about that. And Josh changed a couple things.
And we clarified the delegate and alternate for EMA. I mean, there's multiple things that happened in that decision.
I have a motion and a second on the floor.
There's no second.
Nobody-
Oh, I'll second it. We gotta have discussion. We're doing things illegally today, all day long. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion?
Just the fact that you did not make the request to be removed from that board, and that was done on January 3rd and going against all protocol that's taken place for 18 years I've been on this board.
I don't believe that's a legal requirement, and if it is, I would like you to show me.
It's not legal. It's how it's always been done, Kyle.
I
Kyle, we're done arguing about it and I'll knock it off a while today. You're postponing this meeting over and over again. I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
No. Roll call.
Call the roll.
Platt,
Yes,
Nass,
No.
Wactor,
No,
Stecker,
no,
Jerks.
Yes, motion failed, 3-2. Next, we have the agreement with Snyder and Associates.
I sent you an
And
email
we're-
yesterday that they have requested to be
Right.
Postponed.
postponed until March 14th. Some stuff came up and they're unable to be.
Next,
The longevity, so how this has come up, is longevity was in the union contracts. Well, now we only have a secondary road union. There is no longevity clause or authorization in a county handbook or anywhere else. So in order to pay longevity, you guys either need to add it somewhere, have a policy, add it to the handbook, or otherwise get rid of it.
so that longevity was on the secondary roads, right?
Secondary
And,
roads.
and that was part of our,
No, it was on the sheriff's office and they no longer have a union.
okay. So this is the longevity dealing with just the secondary roads or
No,
just?
that, we can't touch that, cause that's.
Yeah, that's what I was asking. But so this is the longevity with the sheriff's office.
The courthouse, cause they.
And all of those employees.
so it's everyone except secondary roads.
Okay.
Okay,
We're deciding whether to,
Well,
to
you
do
don't,
it or not to do it.
you
We
don't
can't do it without a motion.
you don't necessarily have to decide today, it's, to let you know that. That we have nothing in writing, so when we get audited, that would be an issue,
Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
pick something
Are we
that's not
currently-
approved.
we're not currently doing, yeah, we are currently.
We
doing
are
longevity, aren't we?
doing it,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So is it something that needs to be in the handbook or is it something that needs to be in that agreement that we had with the bargaining?
We have to make a motion first to do it and then you can put it.
Well, I was asking because we could put it in the motion as to where it needs to go, or do we just make the motion and then that gets handled by Donna?
No, you guys will have to decide how you're gonna handle
Okay,
so to keep things, same for the employees in that regard, we would need a motion to continue doing longevity and add it to the handbook as clarification.
okay.
Okay,
just so you know, longevity is a pain in the butt. It's not gonna hurt my feelings if you get rid of it. Just because of the way it's figured. So if somebody gets a raise, you have to subtract the longevity off. And then do the raise and then add the longevity back on. So all of our raises have to be hand figured because it's not something we can plug into the career.
This has nothing, and we also have the step program, correct?
yeah,
So. I would move to. Not continue longevity as we discussed in prior meetings.
Heard? Do I have a second to his motion? I'll second his motion, so we have discussion.
do we know how this would affect employees, like dollar wise?
Plus, most about $100 a year, some maybe to $200 a year, but that would be max.
So not really worth the paperwork.
What I hear, Melissa does
Yeah.
defer it, you might hear no, it takes
No.
over time than what, you know.
It does. And so I need to clarify what you're saying. Are you saying not to give longevity in the future, or are you saying take away the longevity they already have in addition to?
We probably should have an effective date.
Well, let's clarify that in the motion.
Yeah,
Are you saying in your motion to take away the longevity that's been done in the past or from today forward?
From today forward.
From today forward,
Yeah,
okay. Thank you.
I'm not taking, yeah, so the thing.
I know the motion has been made in that regard. I would, in discussion, I would request you amend that and do it at the fiscal year. So
I was
so there's-
honestly just about to make that comment.
there's
Fiscal year,
there's
there
a
you
clear
go.
break
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have time to plan for that because,
Yep.
I mean, if you do it on February 28th, you're in the
Is that all
middle.
right,
So
Carter?
the motion is to, cease
You
longevity
would
at
amend your-
the next fiscal year.
Okay.
July 1st or what.
July 1st. Okay,
Yep.
I will consent to seconding that motion.
Okay.
Now, more discussion. Is there any?
I guess if it's, as I asked the question, if it's minimal impact, I guess I'm good with that.
Are you tired of roll call vote yet? Do another one?
Plath,
Pass.
Nath,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes,
Jerks,
Yes.
Plath,
No.
41. Oh, my favorite subject. TIF district.
TIF.
So we have started the process of redoing our evaluations, which Christie has been working very hard at. She needs a huge, yeah, she needs a huge,
Thanks.
huge thank you for doing this process all over again. I finished our TIFs because our evaluations are a little bit lower. It did affect our TIF by a little bit, so we have to reapprove this.
Do you happen to have the number difference on
Um,
hand?
The number difference.
Well, she said it affected the TIF amount, so is that what you're saying? Is it affected the TIF amount?
yeah, it's not gonna be a huge difference.
Okay, well, and I can look at it.
They're different every
time.
year.
Yeah. Okay,
They're never the same.
But
Yeah.
this is a change because that's not
Yeah.
allowed.
yeah.
Right.
Wasn't it
The
2%?
assessed value before that. So the TIF will be different.
Yeah.
If you, when they change the assessed value, it changes the TIF.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the percentage, it's that percentage.
The change was 1.8%
Okay.
in the law, so that's potentially,
The same for the TIF.
No,
Right.
it won't be
No.
exactly 1.8%, but,
Okay,
but
that's a piece of the factors.
okay.
And so the money that goes back to go legal will be different
Yeah.
because the assessed value is different. So the money you collect is different. Does that make sense? to you?
Yep,
it's,
that makes
it's
sense.
just a few $100. I
Yeah.
would guess.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have the amounts, I can look them up.
I'll come later.
You'll get an education on TIF.
Yeah,
So I would move to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Stecker. Any more discussion? We'll roll call vote.
Plath,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Wactor,
yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Jerk.
Yeah.
I got ahead of it.
Evidently,
Sorry, I don't know how I did that.
evidently you're Stecker now.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't you.
We killed enough.
He answered first.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I said it.
No,
wrong.
you did. That was,
All right, I'll just way ahead of you.
Do we have more? I just saw the one. Do we have
That's
the
the only
others?
one I had to sign.
Okay.
It's fine.
Which one was that?
The other handwritten. Sorry, I just got to it now.
Yeah, call. Call them, or we got a teleconference.
yeah, we'll probably want to take a break before
Oh,
we do that, so then.
okay, that has to go down to everything.
We should have 3 handwritten ones with
Yeah, I think I
everybody.
gave you three, right?
Did you?
Yeah. Kyle's signing the second.
Ah,
Okay, well,
Yeah, there's the
missed it.
second one on the back page, just find an open spot. Should have kept it open for you. There.
this one.
That's the fifth.
I signed this back page.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can just sign like under my name or something there.
Okay,
Is that right
Yeah.
there, so.
Yeah, it's about time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we postpone all the engineer stuff, we could go to do like 10 minutes and come back at 9:45 for that call. And drainage, I guess, engineer and drainage.
so what about
Push
you
all that
doing?
back later, probably. Drainage all the way up to the engineers. We're up here, so all this, if we postpone all of that.
So what,
till
9:45?
Yeah, and we'll probably have to do it after the public hearing for 60.
Well, their meeting has it at 9:45, so.
Yeah, so we'll have the teleconference with Winnebago and then 60 sub 4, and then we'll come back to
And
it.
we might postpone that.
No.
No, we're gonna do a break now and then we'll go into the meeting at Winnebago.
Did we have, we're done with the motion for the TIF, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's.
I had,
Well, what about the, contract between the county?
That's gonna be, Doug's gonna come up for that, but
it's an engine.
we're postponing that until after.
we're just, we don't have time for it now.
Yeah.
But
Keep those.
Yeah,
No, there it is.
hey,
what'd you find?
No, I was looking for paper in my drawer. All right,
you put it in your
Oh,
file.
for your playing forms.
yeah. Try it to it. Every month.
I changed my diet, trying to do low carb,
Uh-huh.
and something's not liking it.
I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
I have changed your. Snap in my drawer. It's only 10 minutes, I'll skip it today.
Feels good, stretch my legs.
Yes, it does. Oh, it sure did on Sunday night when I got out of the car.
Yeah. How long,
56, well, 28 hours. Huh?
You didn't do that straight, did you?
No.
Oh, I was gonna say that.
On Sunday, we just drove from Denver to here, so like 10 and a half, 11, but
That alone is even long enough.
we drove 18 to Utah the first day. Yeah. That's a long drive.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do 18 hours.
Oh,
Now, if you're like actually stopping at several different spots along the way.
that's a little
you
different,
know, get
yeah.
out and look at things.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, historic sites or whatever.
Right.
That'd be different, but if you
right,
do 18 hours straight.
yeah.
Hey Carter, do you have a minute that I can talk to you
Yeah, Chris, yeah,
in private, please?
yeah, absolutely.
You said challenge, I said challenge.
That was said as a joke, and I did not mean it.
Oh, yeah.
I did not mean
Why
it,
did you say it?
and I am a joking character.
That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
Okay, I will talk to her about it.
And you better go apologize. Yeah.
I will.
You better tell Kyle to apologize too, because I think he was there with that.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to find, say. Yeah, I think I'm curious. Yeah, okay, it's done, you frankly today. Got a sorry for review. Yeah, it's just on the third hand, so. Okay, and, but you guys anything else on the calendar? This is the entrance. Yeah. Yeah. Something good time, it's, on the 30th, fall. Yes. Yeah, and it's start here. Okay, it's on the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, just reply and say, any friends,
Do you need, are you gonna set up projector and all that?
I was going to, yeah.
Go for it.
Morning.
How's Bolton and Nate today?
Not too bad. A little soggy yet from recent rains, but,
And,
I'm not gonna complain about rain. That's after
You're
the
not?
last couple of years.
Josh.
Yourself?
He admitted to it.
Oh.
I was talking to Chris.
I'd rather have rain in the springtime.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Some, had some meeting somewhere and Josh said, yeah, I said that. And so he laughed.
Yeah, when things weren't still frozen, it'd probably be.
I'd rather have it stay frozen until springtime.
Here you
Filled up in here while I was gone.
All right to be getting set up for.
Sure, we're gonna have a discussion with Winnebago County on mental health advocate in a few minutes.
Okay, well, I'll just quietly set up over here.
Cause he's a little liar.
It's a good job, Josh, because he admitted.
He did do it. Not only that. Vaccination card. So that he can. That way, once the forge them. That's the fact.
Yeah.
This is getting clean, but yeah, we have to follow Robert's rule of order. We're not gonna have anything.
I guess we'll have to have a motion before we discuss. Right, next year, I guess we'll have to, Kyle's always good about saying we got to write policy. I guess next year we'll have to write a policy about how committees are assigned.
Let's. Yeah.
Well, it's just, or the fact is I've been on this board for 18 years. And you three don't seem to expect somebody that elder that's had years of experience and know how to do things. That's a little.
You're gonna call Winnebago County or are they calling here?
I believe in our packet, there was a number for us to call them.
Was it in here? I didn't see it. Oh, I'm still on TIF.
Yeah, here's the phone number.
You wanna dial that quick?
She said we have to do 9 to go out of the county.
I haven't heard how to use the phone yet.
Carter, do you remember for,
We have to dial 9 first, or? Yes. We do, you say yes,
okay, I thought Tammy had said that,
just press the 9.
Do I remember what?
the phone stuff.
Oh. Morning, Tyler.
Morning, how are you?
Doing all right.
On? Okay, so you gotta do the 1, 2, dial 9-1.
How do we put it, or can you come in here? How do we put it on speaker and all that?
Which, you talking about this one?
Yeah,
Yeah, just,
which, or,
yeah, easiest way to just do this.
or does that tie up a line in the auditor's office?
Well, yeah, but we've got 16
Okay.
lines to choose. It doesn't tie up a line in their office anymore. It's just one of the 16 lines.
Okay.
that we have here.
Okay.
So
Well, cause I,
you're not tying up there.
okay,
Okay. So 9-1
do
for
we,
long distance.
Kossuth County. Then do I push speaker and set this down?
It's just on the phone, or can they see it?
Hello, this is Kossuth County Boardroom. Winnebago, you guys there?
Yeah, we're here. We're ready, I think, as soon as Bill announces it. All right. 9:45 AM, discussion of possible action to have agreement with Kossuth County for advocate services.
You guys wanna start without Wactor? He's coming back in?
Yeah, we got one board member that's not here, but I guess,
Well,
yeah,
we'll-
you guys wanna go
We'll,
ahead?
we'll come out of recess and join with Winnebago County on the agenda item of sharing a mental health advocate. Bill, are you the chairman right now? Bill,
Yes,
you the chairman right now?
I am.
Good.
Finally, we've got things back to the natural order.
That's good. You want your feelings on it, are you for it, against it, or what are we discussing today?
Well, I could see no reason not to go forward with it.
Good, I cannot either. Do we need a 2080 agreement, or can we just share?
This is Melissa Lear. Can I go ahead and interject something as well?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, sorry. It's a little hard to hear, so I just wanted to make sure. So if you say something and I don't hear you, stop me. So anyway, good morning, everyone. This is Melissa Lear, and I'm the CEO of Care Connections, and I appreciate everyone getting together to talk through this. Just to kind of rehash kind of where we're at is, Kossuth is in need of a mental health advocate. Marty Illig, I believe she was their advocate, retired, and they're kind of in limbo at this point. We had a gal and she took other employment. So at this point, as far as looking at mental health advocate coverage, as far as I'm aware is that the county would designate that. And then as far as the funding goes for that, the region, all of the salary and benefits go through the region. So I budget that. So I work with Carla and I work with Tammy to, as the county sets that budget and sets that, then I would just run it through ours. And so we're kind of the pass through for that. And then you guys again designate and supervise that. So as far as I go, what we have right now, I'll kind of just tell you the layout. With Care Connections, we have the 6 counties, Osceola, Clay, Palo Alto, Kossuth, Winnebago, and Worth. For 3 of those counties, Osceola, Palo Alto, and Clay, they have Abby Walling as their mental health advocate. And she covers about 9 counties. She's unable to carry over her caseload into that area. And so looking at Ruth Selby, she does actually well in advocate shared territory of that. I am all for Ruth doing it for the reason of consistency as well. So adding Kossuth on, as far as that goes, would not really cost anything else more for the region. And so it would be cost effective as far as employment goes and things like that. And it would give us consistent coverage for those 3 or 2. I know Ruth has Hancock as well. And just so you guys are aware, what we do is when she serves Hancock County, then all of her narrative, she enters that into the system. And then Jen, our finance gal, runs a report, and then we bill Hancock County for her services. So when she goes there, and then we get that revenue back from that. So that kind of adjusts out. So that's kind of how we have it set up right now. So what I've sent to you guys in the interim is I do have a temporary mental health agreement that you guys can look through. And then I also have the 28E that it would be between, the region and the entity. So I do have those. I have to look back to see because I think our 28E agreement may take, I think our board has to sign it, then it has to go out to your boards. I'll have to double check that. So I didn't know if anything, we could get the temporary agreement going while the 28E agreement needed to make its rounds through the board so that we could at least get coverage. So I'm happy to answer any questions or anything from that point on, but I just kind of wanted to fill you in where things were at to get the discussion going. So I appreciate everyone meeting together so we can talk through it and get it finalized.
So really today, all we need to do is approve the sharing. As
Yeah,
presented.
truly. I guess my other question would be for Winnebago County, if Winnebago County has visited with Ruth on that, and if that's something, again, that they're willing to do and that Ruth is willing to do, so we can start the processes, the paperwork, I guess, next.
Okay, so Winnebago should make the motion first, and then we can make a motion on this side after they do theirs.
Melissa, this is Carla, and I have talked to Ruth, and she is fine with this. Awesome.
Awesome, good.
And is there gonna be any salary adjustments, or that will stay the same? Ruth said that she was fine doing it at the salary that she is at. Okay, perfect.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so. Is that a motion, Mr. Stecker?
I'll let Winnebago take the lead on that but yeah, when it comes back here, I would.
So this is a joint motion.
Oh, then, yeah, I would, Stecker here, I would make the motion.
Is this a joint action or is it individual actions to start it?
I would think that Kossuth would reimburse us for part of Ruth's salary going forward.
Or the region will?
The region, well, I think Melissa explained that it would go back through, yeah.
So it just comes to the region. So I budgeted out because, as far as our dollars goes, it doesn't come county specific. So it would just come out of the regional budget. And so for Kossuth County, Kossuth does not have to budget anything. Winnebago, we run it through the budget line items, like we set the salary, or you guys, I'm sorry, Winnebago sets the salary, benefits, all of that. And then Carla lets me know, and then I budget it through, and then how we do it, because of the way that the law changed last year, we send payments. So we send it, I want to say like every 6 months, we send a payment to Winnebago County so that they can meet payroll, because something with, they can't have that general fund 10 anymore. So that's how we do it. So that's how it would be. And then Ruth already has it. Anytime that she has mileage or like business cards or anything like that, they invoice us directly and we pay that directly out. So. Sounds good.
Is that a second to the motion?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing you were. Is this a joint motion or do we each have to make a separate?
I think we can do a joint motion, being as we're doing a joint thing, so I think it's fine for, Bill.
All right. Well, then I'll make a motion to enter into an agreement with Kossuth County for advocate services.
Okay, I would second Stecker.
Mr. Stecker seconds the motion.
Stecker
to enter into an agreement with Kossuth County for advocate services. All in favor, say aye.
They're all eyes on this side, Bill.
Well, as much as I wanted to vote against it, I did too. I voted for it.
Do you guys have full board? Present?
Anything else? Anything else we need to discuss?
I think they do.
They did. I heard them all. There's nothing we need to do. How about you?
I don't think so.
Thanks, Melissa.
Carla, do you have that agreement or the 2080 agreement?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
I'll send them again. I sent them back in October. I'll resend them again. Let me look over them one more time just to make sure. I sent them a couple months ago, so let me look over them. I'll resend them and just make sure. So we'll get that in motion, here soon. I'll look them over and I'll get them resent so that we can get the paperwork completed.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Yep.
And when you get the 2080 agreement, we'll put it on the agenda and okay it. Thank you, guys.
I do have one other question before we hang up. That's not necessarily on this, but, can I ask it really quick?
Sure.
My question is, so, Care Connections actually has our, governing board meeting this afternoon. And so this is more for Bill and Carter. I know that, we have a couple other individuals that cannot be there today. I know, Bill, you can't be there. Carter, I know you mentioned you had budget meetings. We have to get our claims and one other thing approved. Is there any way you would be able to sneak out of that meeting and come into Care Connections so that we can get our claims and a few things passed today?
Melissa,
Do they have
we
electronic?
actually are not having budget meetings now today.
Oh,
So I would potentially,
Health insurance at one?
Health insurance.
oh, we
We
have
still
health
have-
insurance at one.
That'll be a big one.
Yeah, that's, but we have no budget.
That's what,
I think
No
I
budget.
would need
What?
probably. I mean, I could make it work into it. If you could make it work, I basically just need someone. I have, I won't have 4, so I'm at 3 right now and 4, and we need to be able to get 2 motions passed. My budget, I think I might wait because I don't have enough people, and I'd rather wait until we
I joined
all the boards there. So if I could, I would work around your schedule to run claims and one other thing through.
He can,
I'll join electronically.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
Electronically would be perfect.
Could you send me the link for that?
Have a time that you're gonna do it? I mean, I can interrupt what I'm doing too, I
Oh,
suppose.
Bill, I would hate to do that. You have an important meeting, but, either way, I'm thinking I can make it work like 1:45. I mean, if anything, we can wait.
Let's
We
shoot
can
for
be very
1:45.
early.
Well, if you,
1:45.
Yep.
if you don't have a quorum for those two, call me.
Okay, I will call you. So, and then. Okay, I'll plan on, Carter, if that works too, I'll plan on like 1:45. We'll try to get those 2 motions right around that point in time.
That will
If
work.
You can jump on and Bill,
Yes, that will work.
what was that? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt your meetings and ask, but I figured I had you guys, so I'd ask real quick while I had you all there.
No worries. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you all very much. I'll get those out to you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.
We good here, Roger?
Okay,
Okay,
so what do you guys want to do next?
we've got 3 minutes before public hearing on 60, so
We should,
probably should do that.
not go get March.
And there's a bunch of people out in the hallway.
There is?
Yeah.
Oh, well, get him to come in. I didn't know there was anybody here. I was kind of waiting.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we got quite a few interested landowners in this one, I think.
okay.
Oh, yeah, what's that? Oh, no.
Yeah, right? No,
Okay.
no. 60 sub one goes into Meadow.
Okay, so it is.
Same district number, yep. different sub-districts.
Gotcha. You guys don't say, I didn't know you were all. Cared for that.
He's just trying to confuse you with numbers.
Yeah,
Whacker, that's all he's doing.
not hard to do.
He thinks it's cute because we got all these drainage numbers and.
Gotta kind of keep on top of them. There's a lot of them.
It is 10 o'clock and we have Bolton and Mink here for 60 sub 4. It is a public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Stecker, second by Wactor. All those in favor?
I gotta do a roll call.
We gotta do a roll call, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Black.
do the roll call.
Yes.
Nat,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Jerks.
Yes. Take her away.
All right, I'll give, Marge a little bit of time to get set up here. But good morning all, I'm Connor Commons, professional engineer with Bolton Bank. Be going over the report for the proposed facility improvements for drainage district number 60 sub 4. For a little bit of context, up on the map here, I've displayed all of, this is the original plat of all of drainage district number 60. The portion sub 4 that we are looking at, that this report is pertinent to, is the sub 4 portion, which is this system down here, roughly outlined by this dotted line. So that's how it fits into all of 60. We are just talking about the main tile and how it interacts with that portion, sub 4 of drainage district number 60. As a more close-up map, this is then sub 4 as originally modeled or drawn in green, and as our computer models show it in red. The dashed black line is the current assessment schedule, or the parcels that are deemed to be receiving benefit from the main tile of sub 4. Starting here where it enters into the blue open ditch and ending all the way up on the very upstream side of the district. This report was filed with the board and is the hearing now in response to a petition that was filed last year for the investigation of facility improvements. A little bit of backstory on the district. District is located generally north of Sway City. The sub-district consists of a main tile, 7 lateral tiles, and 4 sublateral networks. The district was established in was petitioned for in 1911. Work was completed then in 1913. And various work throughout the years. Cleanouts in the 40s and the 60s. In 1965, there was actually a petition that was very, very similar to the one that we received and have written this report on for an investigation of facility improvements that at the time were deemed too expensive. Then there have been odds and ends repairs from the 1970s all the way up to present. There was a field review of the open ditch of the system, the first mile of the open ditch system, as well as the main tile from which the capacity of the system could be determined. The main open ditch of the system does drain to the jurisdictional ditch number 7 in Minnesota, making its way to the Blue Earth River and then eventually the Minnesota River. The capacity of the district, which is analyzed in a drainage coefficient, which is a drainage coefficient is the amount of water that can be drained from a landscape in a 24-hour period of time. So that is to say, if a system had a half-inch drainage coefficient, that means that a half-inch of water could be removed from the whole watershed in 24 hours time. Any other corresponding drainage capacity is, of course, that amount of water in inches. The standard nowadays, or not the standard, but the recommended, considered appropriate drainage coefficient for a system as recommended by Iowa State University is a half-inch drainage coefficient. The existing capacity of the district was found to be at or below 0.15 inches per day, or approximately 30% of the recommended capacity. That's not unusual. The original design capacity of a lot of these districts was what they were aiming for was between an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch capacity. Of course, that has now increased. The capacity of the system on any gravity fed system like this one is determined by 3 things: the pipe size, the pipe material, and the grade of the pipe. Those are the 3 things that can control how much water that pipe moves under gravity. As some of you, I'm sure, remember, there was an informational meeting held on this district last year where we met and discussed some of these options. At that informational meeting, it was, though no formal action could be made, the suggestion was that the system be reviewed for a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch system. This report does provide those numbers. We'll get into that a little bit more. But from my review of it, my base recommendation is that the 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch are much more attainable than the 1 inch system would be. Now, with that being said, the system with those 3, the size, the material, and the grade, that's all assuming perfect conditions. That's all assuming no additional friction losses based on material age, the gaps, disjointment. So that is to say, the calculated for both the original system and the design systems, those are ideals. The system is likely operating, just based on its age, over 100 years old, likely operating less than its original design capacity. Something just to keep in mind. The petition was for an improvement, as has been stated, which is a little different, has some nuances that repair options do not have. Repairs under the Iowa code for drainage districts are required. the capacity of the system must be maintained to its, what is generalized as its original design capacity. The system can't operate less than that. It's the duty of the trustees to keep it that way. Improvements are different. Improvements are, one, they must be petitioned for by the landowners. The board as trustees cannot enact them. But they also have some other stipulations that follow them, which are outlined in the report, but I'll go through them here as well. One is that in the event that an improvement project moves forward, the NRCS will most likely consider any upstream wetlands to have been converted. This would mean that mitigation would be required, typically at a minimum of an acre to acre replacement rate for the same functionality of the converted wetland. That can be expensive. Credits are currently, at the time of writing this report, credits were $15,000 an acre from mitigation banks that would serve as that wetland mitigation. As of, again, the writing of this report, after the informational meeting, we sent out wetland determination letters to landowners requesting that they get certified wetland determination results from the FSA and the NRCS office. We are not, me as the engineer or the trustees, the district itself are not able to get that information. It falls on the landowners. It's there. They are by law the only ones that are allowed to go in and request and obtain that information. That request was made in the hopes that if any wetlands did exist and the landowners wanted assistance from the district in mitigating a wetland that was converted, that was not in their favor, that assistance could be provided. That has happened in other counties and other projects. And it's something that can certainly be discussed, but it's not something that we would just know offhand. The wetland determinations that we have received are shown here in green, and in none of those determinations was it determined that there was any farmed wetlands or anything that would be at risk of being converted under an improvement project. So that's a good sign for those that we got back, if you're in favor of the improvement. The second important difference between repairs and improvements is that improvements can be stopped by the owners of the district under a process known as remonstrance. Remonstrance is if over 50% of the landowners by count owning 70% of the land by area object to the project, it stops where it is. That's the end of it. The objections are taken at or before the time of hearing. So anything filed today would count until the board closes this portion of the hearing. If it's continued, obviously you have the chance until that hearing is closed. It does have to be in writing. It does not have to be anything more than I object and your name. We've actually received 2 objection letters already that have been added to the calculation of what the remonstrance requirements would be, and I will read those after I finish through the report, so they are entered into the minutes. That is remonstrance. The third thing that is different from a repair to an improvement is that the code considers that under an improvement, the benefits will have been changed significantly enough that it warrants a reclassification of the benefits of the district. Now, what that means is that the old schedule that was used for the construction and the maintenance throughout the years would no longer be valid. It would require a new classification schedule be created for the new project that was built. Reclassification takes into account the benefit that you receive. The code does not specify how that is to be done, whether it be mathematical or 100 years ago, these classification schedules were made likely on horseback by men that went out and just surveyed the area, looked at wetness and the different conditions and assigned benefits. The code doesn't specify what factors or how that is to be done, only that it be fair and equitable. The modern process, all engineers do reclassification a little differently, but all the ones I've ever worked with or for have now a system of mathematical factors that go into the reclassification of a district. Those 5 main factors that we use are area, how much of the parcel, how much within that red line does a parcel benefit in the watershed that benefits, the proximity, how close to the facility improvement are you? You benefit more by being close. You don't have to use other tiles to get there. You don't have to use other facilities to get there. Next is use. How much of the facility do you use? Those at the bottom end use less of the total system than those at the very upper end who send water through the whole system. Wetness. What is the need for drainage? That's based off of the USGS soil surveys maps for the essentially the hydraulic conductivity, the moisture amount per your soils. And lastly, for a factor of land use. What is the land being used for? Everything's compared to agricultural land. Agricultural land gets the factor of 1 because those factors are all multiplied together. And ag land then with a 1, that doesn't change anything. However, properties that shed water more quickly, your roads, there's not a railroad in this one, thankfully. Those get a little complicated. But your roads, gravel, hard surface, any industrial, commercial buildings that shed water faster than agricultural land get assessed a higher percentage of benefit. That is important to note as well, that all of the owners, even the road right of ways, secondary roads department, any county ground, all of that's all considered an owner and a beneficiary to the systems. So they're all assessed in time. Additionally, here in the improvement section, the one similarity between repairs and improvements is that any road crossings, the construction amount for those crossings is the responsibility of the entity that owns that road right of way. So whether that's the secondary roads or the Iowa DOT, they are responsible for those construction costs. In the event of construction, landowners would be entitled to damage that they sustain on their property, whether that be actual crop that's run down and lost. Additionally, we factor this immediately above any sort of tile work, that there is soil mixing and compaction that typically takes time to get that ground back into full productivity. And it's estimated that in that amount of time, 1 additional crop yield is lost through that process. That's all things that would be covered at the completion of the work and is surveyed and documented at that time. For the 3 options outlined in the report, the 1/2 inch, the 3/4 inch, and the 1 inch drainage coefficient, cost estimates were developed for those 3 options and are attached at the end of the report. To them here for a display. These are including the non-construction costs, any engineering, the financing, the notices that all went out. The things it does not include are the road crossings that have been outlined in the cost estimates. So for the 1/2 inch drainage coefficient, that is the estimated total assessable cost there of $3,719,800 for an average per acre cost of $14.66. Now that cost per acre is just for an example. Because of how benefit shakes out under those mathematical formulas, the odds that any particular parcel pays exactly that cost per acre is very small. It's not just assessed over a per acre basis. It's also important to note that we have displayed the cost over 10 years and the cost over 20 years. On drainage district projects, landowners have the right to pay over a set number of years that's determined by the Board of Supervisors as trustees. And that number can be no more than 20 years and no fewer than 10 years. On something of this magnitude, it would be my recommendation that the 20-year option be considered if this does move forward. That does not by any means say that you have to wait that long or be held in at the interest rate that the county is at. Is it still at 5?
We haven't decided on this project.
Well, right, okay, right.
Yeah,
but
we'll have to decide the interest rate.
Right, okay,
Yep.
perfect.
The standard right now across the county is still at 5.
It's still, okay, the standard was still at 5, okay.
Yep.
But we're gonna have to look at the interest rates going up.
Yeah, right,
The
yeah,
banks.
yeah,
So,
that's, we're at an interesting time.
Yeah, it's likely it might get raised.
Okay. The thing to consider there.
Go down in the future,
No,
if interest rates come back down,
no, those warrants, they stay for the duration of
you
it.
can't reopen it, renegotiate, come in with another lender.
Nope.
Reason?
Cause we don't want all those warrants out there forever and ever and ever.
It's not an option to renegotiate.
The way those work is that because the district is not, by law, it's not allowed to carry a large balance of money in any funds. So that is to say that the district only ever brings in money when it needs money to go out. Now, the code understands that landowners aren't likely to just have that amount of money sitting around, so they give them the option to defer it, with the county writing up the warrants, what are known as warrants, to pay for the work that's done. Me, for instance, I'm paid in warrants. Those,
You are not paid in warrants, your company is.
right, yeah.
For
Right, yeah,
clarification.
Bolton and Mink is paid, for the work I do, Bolton and Mink is paid in
Yes.
warrants.
Yes,
And so then those, carry the interest because the cash isn't being, the people that get those warrants may have to wait those 20 years to see that money come back to them. So it's an incentive to accept those. However, it's also an incentive that if landowners can go out and get financed at a lower interest rate and make those payments back to the county sooner, that is not a financial consultant in any way, but that is one of the incentives of that higher fixed rate. The county doesn't want to be used as a bank if they don't have to be.
The other thing is if your interest rate's too low on the warrant, you're not gonna get anybody to bid the project. I mean, contractors look at the interest rate that is on the warrant when they do the project. And if there's too low a number on it, they're not gonna bid the project because they don't want the warrants. At a
Because
low,
they have to turn around and find ways to pay for the pipe. The pipe manufacturers aren't
Yeah.
likely to accept something that isn't an actual cash,
Right.
essentially.
yeah, and the contractors, they spend the warrants off to banks. They don't hold them all the time, so.
Right, there's a very big
I,
economy that goes on
Right.
behind all of that. That's the reason why it's all set and locked in place. So that's the option for the half-inch drainage coefficient. The 3/4 inch was 4.4 million for an average per acre cost of $1,750 per acre. And then the 1-inch drainage coefficient, and this is reflective of the larger tile size that would be required to obtain that 1-inch drainage coefficient, was 5.2 million for an average per acre of $2,070 per acre. Those are the cost estimates on that. Now, in order as it's displayed in the report, the next section is the farm program compliance. This has to do, this is why it's important to know if any wetlands are to be converted on any properties, as it is the landowner's responsibility. The district is not liable for the penalties that can occur from a converted wetland being farmed without mitigation. As I stated, that's likely. It's calculated on a functionality basis, but it's almost always the minimum would be an acre per acre replacement of any lost wetland. Mitigation, the Clean Water Act, the Waters of the United States rule, that is back up again. December, I believe December 30th of last year, the EPA released their new definition of what the waters of the US was going to consider in a very boiled down sense, what was going to be considered jurisdictional wetlands was anything that was hydraulically connected by shallow subsurface conveyance. Which would mean that from the old rule of being tangential or immediately adjacent to, now any wetlands that are, as I stated, shallow hydraulic conveyance would be considered jurisdictional. This would likely increase the number of jurisdictional wetlands that the Army Corps of Engineers had authority over. That rule, even the old one, had a junction on it since 2015. And when these new rules come into effect March 20th of this year, it's very likely, I've actually even seen reports of it, that states are already planning to sue over the new rule. However, the outcome of that would have impacts on projects similar to this. And it would require not only the wetland or the landowner's participation on wetland mitigation, but the districts as well require joint applications through the Iowa DNR and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So we're kind of in a little bit of waiting as far as that's concerned until March 20th. However, it does look rather promising, so to say, that a number of states, Iowa included, would sue similar to they did in 2015 and put another hold on those rule changes, but I can't say that for certain. The report also contains in it a section on water quality that I encourage everyone to take a look at. The district is not made to, by any code section, participate in any water quality, but there's nothing that says that they can't be supportive of the landowners taking that initiative as well. There are programs out there, a lot of funding available for any interest. It's just to date, there hasn't been a real great avenue forward for districts to participate in water quality. As I spoke on with improvement projects, they require reclassification, and it's oftentimes more equitable, or it's more efficient to do annexation at that time. At this time, there's only really the one large section of the district that's outside of the district boundary. That is this area right up here. It was originally drawn as having been in, but it is not within the dotted black border, so it is not considered part of sub 4. And as far as I can tell from the history, the district records, this is back to the original map of 60. That area is located right here. And while it is undoubtedly part of 60, it does not appear on any that I could find, any of the sub districts. So it's, while the original engineers agreed that it was most certainly in the watershed, they couldn't quite determine where that land fit into the sub districts.
It's not being assessed right now into Anything other than 60?
Anything other, not that I can find, no.
Okay.
That is a bit of importance because as the right of remonstrance is considered, the code reads that it's land to be benefited that is currently in the district. And while it is while that land, anything that's outside of that is in the district of 60, so to say, it is not within sub 4.
So at the present time, they cannot do remonstrance on those.
They could not object and have those acres be counted, correct?
Right.
And the calculation that I've put together for it takes that into account. It's only those that are in the dashed boundary and the acres that they benefit from that is being calculated. In conclusion, looking at the district, the tile sizes that would likely be, or that have been calculated to be needed for the 1/2 inch and the 3/4 inch drainage coefficient. The largest size on the 1/2 inch drainage coefficient being a 54 inch at the downstream, very downstream end, and on the 3/4 inch being a 60 inch. My recommendation for consideration is the 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch drainage coefficient. The 1 inch, in my opinion, requiring to go to a 72 inch pipe is not feasible.
All your engineering study so far is all cement, no plastic, correct?
That is typically my recommendation.
Make it clear to the public that
Yes,
this is.
that's, all of the cost estimates have been done on concrete. It's been my experience in the past, especially with larger tile sizes, that the strength comparison is just not there. With anything of this size, I almost always consider concrete. And as far as price comparisons, I've bid the gray plastic together with concrete, with the amount of rock that's needed. It's oftentimes pretty equal on price. I've never seen a price on black plastic this big. And honestly, it wouldn't be my recommendation to go this big with that size black plastic.
We haven't done anything that big, but I think on 75, is it 24 inch and smaller? Did
Yeah.
plastic?
We did plastic. We also had issues with it.
Well, we've got one project that's completed with plastic and one that's in the works with plastic, but there has been a cost difference between the black plastic with rock versus concrete.
And I don't doubt, that you can get for a little bit cheaper. There are certainly some areas in this district that while we can pick up some grade and some depth, there are still areas that would be shallow. Still within the 2.5, 3 foot
3 foot.
of cover.
Okay.
It's all possible. It's just my gut feeling on it is that we would be better off. Gut feeling and experience is that the concrete option holds up better in these. With that, I can read into the record the objections.
Before you start, is there anybody here that would like to write an objection? We'll give you a piece of paper and a pen. If you think it's too high priced, now's the time to put in a written objection before we
What's that?
I had one more.
Oh, you got one more. Okay, perfect.
Anybody else got an objection to the project?
And just to reiterate, the objections would need to be turned in before the close of the hearing for them to be counted,
Right. So now's the time to do it.
if you wish, yes.
So we have a written objection here regarding the proposed repairs and improvements, drainage district 60 sub 4, Kossuth County, Iowa. The undersigned Amanda Rudder and Lori A. Link, landowners and persons interested in the hearing on the proposed repairs and improvements, drainage district number 60 sub 4, Kossuth County, Iowa. Hereby file the following written objection to the notice of hearing on the proposed repairs and improvements for the drainage district number 60 sub 4, Kossuth County, Iowa. 1, the undersigned are the owners of the following described real estate located in Kossuth County, Iowa, which real estate is or may be affected by the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district 60 sub 4, Kossuth County, Iowa. To wit, the east half of the northeast quarter of section 30, township 100 north, range 29 west of the 5th prime meridian, Kossuth County, Iowa, except a parcel of land located in the northeast quarter of section 30, township 100 north, range 29 west of the 5th prime meridian, Kossuth County, Iowa, more particularly described as follows. Commencing in the east quarter corner of said section 30, thence north 0 degrees 0 minutes east, 597.3 feet to the point of beginning, thence continuing north 0 degrees 0 minutes east, 317 feet, say 317.8 feet, then south 87 degrees 30 minutes west, 520 feet, then south 0 degrees 8 minutes west, 296 feet, then south 89 degrees 30 minutes east, 520 feet to the point of beginning here in the real estate. 2, the undersigned objects to the engineer's report to the feasibility of the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4 on the grounds of cost of the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district 60 sub 4 outweigh the benefits of the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4. 3, the undersigned further object to the engineer's report on the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4 and to the feasibility of such proposed repairs and improvements on the grounds that the proposed assessment against the real estate is disproportionate to any benefit which will be received from the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4. 4, the undersigned further objects to the engineer's report on the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4 and the feasibility of the proposed repair and improvements to drainage number 60 sub 4 on the grounds that this is not an appropriate time to proceed with the proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4. Wherefore, the undersigned landowners and persons interested in drainage district 60 sub 4 file these written objections to the notice of hearing on proposed repairs and improvements to drainage district number 60 sub 4, Kossuth County, Iowa. Date this 20th day of February 2023, Amanda Rudder and Lori A. Link. Next, attention, Board of Supervisors of Kossuth County. I would like to express my disapproval of the improvement plans for drain 60 sub 4 of Kossuth County for the following reasons. 1, the proposed improvement goes through the southeast corner, an 80-acre parcel of mine, and this was from Mark Reynolds. Corner of 80-acre parcel of mine just before entering the open ditch. The improvement will not improve anything on my land, as all my private tile are connected to the other county tile running to the northwest from the open ditch. As a side note, improving this particular tile would probably help my drainage. 2, the existing tile does drain where it runs across my land, but a couple thousand feet of private tile would do the same thing. 3, finally, the cost will never show any return on my land. The only thing that would improve my drainage is to improve the county tile that runs to the northwest from the open ditch number 60 or me putting in more private tile to improve my particular tile. I doubt there is any plan on improving that line, but even if I elect to put in more private tile on my own, it would be beneficial to me and a lot less expensive. I have no objection to the work being done, but I believe the cost should go to those who benefit. Also, when farms are purchased, the drainage, soil types, and many other factors go into the purchasing price. It should not be purchased at a lower price because of a drainage issue and then expect others to help improve the land. Case in point, a few years ago, when land around here was bringing about 9,000 an acre, piece of land by me sold for $6,000 per acre. This land had and still has drainage problems and everyone knows it. So far, the purchaser has not expected the rest of us to help pay for improvements on this parcel to bring this value up to that of well-drained land. In short, this improvement will not benefit the drainage on my land. Sincerely, Mark Reynolds. The last one, Board of Supervisors, Kossuth County, Iowa. I'm objecting to the preliminary information that I have received in regards to the report of the proposed new tile for Drainage District 60/4. I have received no information as to possible cost for the farm that I own. I cannot understand how you can go forward with this project without giving more information than you have. I am not in favor of the project and I have no intention of doing pattern tiling, which is one of the main reasons this is being done. At the same time, I received information about doing some water retention work on the wet spot on our farm. I am more in favor of that than this plan. Richard E. Johnson, Family Trust.
Have you added the acres up yet?
I need to add the one that Marge just got to me. Ones.
Does everybody understand the wetland provision? You go through with this and you have wetlands that are not deemed previously
Prior converted.
Yep. You will have to buy acres to make up for every acre that you have that's not been converted. It's very expensive. So if you do not know your determination, it would be prudent for you to all get your determination of wetlands.
Tyler hit that.
I know, but it's,
Yeah.
You have a question?
Cost of all, okay, and nobody mentioned what was the return. Got estimates for that?
Yeah, what is the return? Corn's on now.
Which I indicated in the letter. There might be some benefits or something to somebody. If we proceed with this.
I don't have the return on investments because I know what the
That's
design
only-
system will remove as far as water. What the landowners do with that particular benefit, I assume when we do the classification of benefits is that that's fully utilized and that it's a pattern handling is done, and that that increased drainage coefficient is appropriately harnessed. If it's not, the return on investment could vary wildly. And for that reason, it is why we don't, at least I don't provide any sort of return on investment amount. That's something that the landowners would have to figure out.
Tyler, you want to touch on a minute? This tile's not gonna take in any water,
Right, it's.
where the old tile might. So don't be angry if we put a new tile in and it doesn't take any water in, because they're not designed to take water in.
The job of this tile is not to drain, it's to convey. It's to take the systems that are additionally put in that do draw and move the water away.
All your current tile that's in the field right now, that's connected to the old system, would be reconnected to the new system. So your current private infrastructure outside of that would be reconnected to the new one. So it, like Tyler said, it's a transportation mechanism. It's not a collection system.
This provides an outlet to those that otherwise would be too far away from the ditch. That's what the old main was doing, what this.
We're not paying.
Yeah.
On mine, it's not gonna do a thing for me.
They are, so that's part of the classification of, but not,
$75,000.
but not everyone, not every.
That is an average. You got to figure it out.
You want the average prices are going up now, and you're gonna have corn going now.
That's the old schedule.
Yes.
It'll be revised.
Sorry, I didn't.
I was very irritated.
The schedule that was printed off, that's the old schedule. That's that old dotted line on the map that was shown. On a project of this size, this magnitude, the Iowa code, chapter 468, it is very clear that those old schedules do not hold any longer. It's based off of the new benefits received from the new system. So to run that amount on that schedule will not give you what you would, I mean, unless by just happenstance, the benefits came out the same. But the methodology for how those benefits were created and methodology now in districts like this, I've seen they're very different. The benefits of old put a lot more weight on wetness. They put a lot more weight on the proximity and the downstream owners. That old schedule, it's just for the main tile. Any of the additional laterals, anything like that, everybody's paying now on that old schedule. But once this, if a large enough improvement project goes through, any improvement project goes through, code requires a redistribution of benefits. That then, in my methodology, that then takes into account not only how close you are, not only how wet you are, not only your area, but also how much of the facility you use. If you're up here and you use all of the.
Tyler, we got another question here. You're looking for a printout of this
Yeah.
map?
Can't even see it. We can't read that from here. I mean, I have bifolders and I can't read.
That's
There's nothing on there about the benefit.
No,
that
it's
is.
just showing the